Welcome back, everyone, to Spooky Japan podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, Christy. How you doing today, Christy?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you on. So, where did your paranormal journey begin? What got you into it?
It's kind of the strangest story, really, because if I think about it, like it's something I've always been interested in, even as a kid, but not just more or less like Unsolved Mysteries would be on, and I'd only watch like the ghost ones, that kind of thing. And then I started watching the shows, but things really kind of, I guess I intended to go to college for sound design to mix and master bands because I was a musician before all this. And I inadvertently ended up in the film program and found out that I loved film. And so that kind of took me down this journey. And then I just ended up, starving artist, waiting tables for a while. And my boss then was like, hey, I'm going to this haunted house, which happened to be Velisca. So my very first like real investigation was Velisca X Murder House. And he's like, somebody backed out. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'm totally on board. So we went and I made a little video and it got like 10,000 hits, like right off the bat, which is crazy. And then we went somewhere. Where was the next one? I think Squirrel Cage Jail. And he was like, hey, can you make another video? And I was like, okay. So with my film degree, I put together what would have been the very first episode of Buried Alive Paranormal. And that episode then, after we made like, I think I made like three, and I was just kind of doing it more for the fun of it. But then before you know it, Nick Groff picked it up and put it on Video Space. He put it on Amazon Prime. And then they wanted more. So then there ended up being, I think, 6 total. And it just kind of just kept going. And so now here I am. All really, I love the paranormal, but film being my passion, I never thought I would end up where I'm at. But I love every second. So kind of odd.
Is that what you mostly do? Then it's just go into like the haunted places, or is there other aspects of the paranormal that you're also into?
I do all kinds of stuff. Like, I'll do whatever. During COVID, I pretty much sold everything I owned to live on the road and basically do events. So I travel the country and I host events everywhere. And I still get into film projects. I'm directing a film actually in July here in Omaha. And then it looks like I'm going to be added on to some other projects coming up that are even bigger than that. So, it's horror, it's, paranormal. I've been to Area 51 so many times because I love it there. So I'm very interested in kind of like the UFO alien thing. I'm not as much as a Bigfoot person. However, I did go Bigfoot hunting at least once. And I'm like, I don't really know. I don't really believe in it. However, that doesn't mean I'm right. So I'm always willing to explore anything because I wasn't even sure what I felt about paranormal, like if it was actually real. And so I finally had an experience, and I was like, okay, I have to admit it. It's there. So I'm whatever. I'm down for anything. I just want to explore and do crazy stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's how we are too, especially when you see a haunted location. You just have to know more. You want to see it. You want to see what's in there. So we definitely understand that. But here in Japan, it's not like United States where you can easily book an investigation. It's not really a thing here. It's so taboo. And that's also why we started the podcast is Irene in Tokyo felt so alone in a paranormal. Only two, because she's a clairvoyant, and only 2 people in her real life, real everyday life, knows what she does because it's something you can't discuss it here, which is funny because we always tell people the culture is so around ancestors, but they won't talk about the paranormal. If something is considered haunted or rumored to be haunted, they board it off from the public, so you can't go in.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would have never thought. That does it blows my mind a bit. I would think, do they think that it's like maybe disrespectful? Is that where they kind of go with it?
They don't want anybody messing around in case something happens to them. you'd be causing a hinder with the police department who's trying to look for you, try to find where you are, and they can't find you because something happened to you, and their search and rescue is really uh, you better be prepared to say why you were missing and what happened to you.
Wow.
If they only find you, or they only find the remains of you, right? Because some places you will only find the remains of you, and you're not supposed to be going exploring there. And I get the attitude. I get it, because you're gonna be a pain in the butt to other people. You should be doing that, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand that as well.
But the whole life revolves around paranormal, from the time you get up to the time you go to bed.
Hmm. I mean, that's kind of my
Even
life.
even the way you eat
Yeah,
is around that too.
yeah.
You can't stick your chopsticks in the food.
Like
Like if you need to
in
excuse
the
yourself
bowl.
for a moment, you can't just stick your chopsticks in the food.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because that's what you do with dead people when you go to a funeral.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
I learn
it's
something new every day.
and you can't pass food from another person to another person using your chopsticks either, because that's what you do to a funeral too. You pass the person's cremated bones, to another person using a chopstick, a long chopstick, and you put it in the bowl, a big certain pot. And yeah, that's no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't go to Japan until I learn all this.
Oh yeah, it's kind of, it's a taboo thing. Unless you had a funeral, that's the only time when you can do that.
Then it's different.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to go to Japan for a funeral. That's for sure. I don't want to go anywhere for a funeral.
I don't either.
They used to in Japan have two funerals. One was a mock funeral,
Hmm.
and then there was another funeral. The mock funeral was there was a cat spirit that was rumored that they thought was going to steal the body and drag it to the underworld. So they
Hmm.
had the mock funeral. They'd have rocks in like a casket. So if the cat spirit does come and take the body, it's at least the fake body, and they're away rocks. So then they finally do like the real funeral.
Hmm.
Huh.
They
And I was
don't
like, I
do
don't
that
know if
anymore.
I could. I don't know. You technically are going through the funeral twice. I don't know if I could emotionally do that.
They don't, not anymore.
Not anymore, yeah, but back in the day,
Yeah.
because I remember reading
Yeah.
about it. They had like the
Yeah.
mock one, then a real one. Like I can't imagine you're going through two
No.
funerals.
No.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm not like when it comes to funerals, like I like even here in the United States, like I find it strange. I feel like the funeral is definitely more for the people who are grieving.
Mm.
I've had a lot of time to think about stuff like this,
Hmm.
but I not that anybody should change how they think or how they feel, and I'm not downing anybody for how they grieve or whatever. But for
Hmm.
me personally, the idea of even putting somebody in a giant box and burying them is just strange. So
Yeah.
my kids didn't take me seriously until I was like, no, this is what I want done. Is I want to be turned into a tree,
Hmm.
because that way I feel like you're still living and you're still contributing to the earth and
Hmm.
contributing to what it is. So they finally understand that I'm not joking, mainly because I picked out my tree and I said, this is the one I want. Like there's a whole thing of this. And so they have like a whole plan of my oldest daughter, they're going to own a farm and they're going to put a little memorial there and they're going to put the tree there. And my dad actually now is like, I want to do that too. So,
Oh,
uh,
that's
yeah, the more I talk about it, like, people think I'm joking. Initially wanted to be a fruit tree, but I don't think you're able to do that.
no.
But I don't know. Last time I looked, I did see a peach tree on there, so I'm kind of like, well, maybe we can.
That's the real that's a real thing that people don't realize that
Yes.
it is a real thing. Once you pass, you can't have your body in something, and on top of it is like a baby tree that grows.
Hmm.
So you can become a tree. Your body can grow
Yeah.
into the tree.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
So
Compared
still
to
think it's better than pumping your body full of chemicals and making it and then throwing it in the earth and polluting the polluting the soil. It's a
yeah,
lot better than that. I think it's a lot more environmental safe than that.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's kind of how I feel. It's like, why, I just want my kids to be able to, when they're missing me, like, isn't it just better to go sit on a bench under this tree and
Yeah,
enjoy nature and all of that instead of, like, I don't know.
yeah.
That's just some people think I'm strange, but after they hear me out, they're like, you know what? Wait a minute, because you know what else? If you donate your body to science, which I plan to do,
Hmm.
they cremate you for free, and so then really, basically, the expenses for me to pass away are like $40,
Hmm. Yeah,
and I would rather my kids pay $40 than 4,000.
yeah.
So,
I think the industry has gone a little bit haywire. They don't think about the person who the loved one. They just do it for money now.
probably.
Yeah.
in Japan, you're not really in Japan it's different because they cremate you down to your bones and they put your bones in a ceramic pot. And then you
Mhm.
don't have one grave, it's a family grave
Yeah.
that they put all of the bones in.
Yeah.
So you see like your last name on the front,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then the back is listed all the family members and when they lived and when they passed on the back with all the bones that are in there.
Yeah, I don't think my kids want to be in the same pot with me later.
No, it's all different pots. It's like a single individual pot. They're not all
Yeah.
together. They're all individual, but they're all placed in one plot because space is very expensive here, and they don't bury them underground because that's why space is too expensive here. You don't have room to do that, so they're all above ground in a marble case,
Wow.
and yeah.
That would be something to see for sure.
When if you come, I'll show you.
I think
One day
that
we'll get there. I have yet to leave the country, so one
I
day.
think the graves here are in Japan are more beautiful than
Mm.
United States ones for sure.
We
Yeah.
we clean the graves once a year on my birthday. Would you believe it?
It's
Anyways,
she's on Day of the Dead. Is that what it is, Irene?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
It's
not like you
called
just do it on your
Obon.
birthday. It's Day of the Dead, which unfortunately for her is also her birthday.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though.
No, it isn't.
I think it's cool. Like that's like saying you have a birthday on Halloween, right? Like people around here love that idea.
Yeah,
So,
but you clean the graves at midnight. Putting uh
oh,
paper paper lantern with a candle in it, and you clean them at midnight. Your own family grave. You don't clean anybody else's. You don't touch anybody else's. It's a no no. But you clean your own family's grave. You put food down. You put incense down, and that's what you do.
yeah. So it seems like they're super spiritual. It's
Mhm.
funny because my best friend is actually part Japanese. She's like half Japanese.
Mhm.
And she's never told me any of this, but then again, she was born in New Orleans, so there's that.
Yeah.
But they don't really. She's never really talked to me about like any of their customs and things like that.
Mhm.
I'm just like, I know she likes, she eats her sushi, and
Yeah.
that's, that's
That's
Monica.
about it. You know.
She has all her little Oriental, like figurines and things and stuff throughout the house,
Yeah.
but her mom never really talked to me about it either, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting. So
I think when you leave the country, I think you forget and you adapt another country's customs just to survive.
probably, especially you have to do that in the United States too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really hard to come here and not become just, so entrapped in like the society that is America.
Yeah.
And not to say that it's all bad, because I don't think it is all bad. There's some really great things about this country, but
Yeah.
I wish people would bring their good and keep their good here. But sometimes that doesn't happen either.
No.
But I appreciate the melting pot that is the United
Yeah.
States.
Because you
Yeah.
can learn a lot from other people too, which I think is great. But I'm just well, I'm here. I kind of like I don't think I want to leave. I think I like it here a lot. My kids were born here and my kids grew up here. It's just hard to leave, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And after Amanda moved here, I don't know how she feels, but I don't think she wants to leave either.
Nah, we don't want to leave. I mean, like, the food here is too good.
Yeah.
That's what we say. It's like the food.
That's how I felt about Chicago until I moved out. Then I was like, it's not worth the food.
Yeah, the food is good. You can get anything you want.
Sounds
Pretty much,
delicious
yeah.
to me.
At almost anytime you want to, because more like where I am than where she is. He's out in the boonies, but
Yeah, I was
where
gonna
I
say,
am, you
more
can
where
get
she is in Tokyo is different than where I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's you can get whatever you want anytime you want.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Here, a lot of places, most restaurants are owned by families, so they'll close at like 7, or they close at like 7, 8 o'clock. So
Yeah.
a couple of places open later, but mostly it's that.
Yeah, since COVID, like we don't really have. I mean, we're in Omaha now, and there's a lot of places like that aren't open. I remember when Walmart was 24 hours, and they haven't.
Yeah, I was saying that needs to be
Yeah.
brought back too.
Yeah, since COVID, they haven't been. So, you work late. I work late. You do the events and things, and you're done at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and your options are sometimes there are none, and you haven't eaten in 12 hours. And
Yeah.
now, if you're near a Waffle House, you're good, but we're not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even a lot of the IHOPs now are like closed.
Yeah,
They're not 24 hours really anymore. So
I miss
kind of
that.
crazy. Yeah, they don't appreciate the overnight employees around here.
Here,
That's
think
all right.
Denny's is open at 11 until 11 o'clock. Walmart used to be here, but they sold the company. But they're still open 24 hours, so you can find a 24 hours grocery store here.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
just
think we have
more.
any now. I don't think we have any grocery stores here. I mean, I feel like there are some. I feel like there's some that will stay open, but for the most part, forget it.
Yeah.
We do have a taco place that's open 24 hours, though. That's like,
Wow.
at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You can get tacos.
As long as you have something in your stomach, I don't care. just fill my gut with something. Right?
Right?
I mean, we have convenience stores here open 24/7. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
However, convenience store food here is different. It's actually really good here compared
Yeah.
to. I wouldn't eat a meal at 7-Eleven in the United States, but here it's more restaurant quality. So
Yeah.
I was thinking that. I don't even know what movie it is, but the line's like, I'm so hungry I could eat a sandwich from a gas station. I always know, I've known that movie line forever, and I can never remember what movie it's from.
Here you can get steamed buns, like with pork meat, or you can get a pizza bun with pizza sauce in it and cheese, and you can get a sweet bean bun at the convenience store. You can get good sandwiches, like really good sandwiches, and bread, and you can even buy alcohol.
You know what? I need to not come to Japan because I'm just going to get fatter.
That's okay. I got lots of moonshine I make in my house. You can have that.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Yeah. It's 35% proof, and it's really strong. You need to add
I'm gonna get fat and pass out. This is
Yeah, no problem. You can stay at my house. You can get fat and you can pass out. Next day you can start over again. We go ghost hunting. And Amanda say, "Come over here. We need you. we'll go ghost hunting. We'll eat a lot.
I'll be like, I don't know if I'm seeing ghosts or hallucinating at this point.
We'll go shopping too at the same time." Like, oh, okay, that's great.
That's so funny.
It's like all in one.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean that's the way that we take it. Like we take it, ah, ha 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 ha. We kind of like seem to laugh at and have fun with it, and nobody's like, "Oh my god, how dangerous!" Like, yeah, we're just gonna have fun. You into with it? They go, "Nope, I'm gonna stay home." Okay, that's fine. You can stay home. We'll just go.
I always say I only have friends because I'm funny, but
Yeah. Oh.
maybe not lately, but normally Facebook doesn't like me being funny anymore, so I have to be kind of boring
Yeah.
out there.
Oh, it gets wacky around here.
That's good news.
Well, at least I'm wacky. I don't care about anybody else. You don't really care about others here. You just do whatever you want to do. Whatever you
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the best way to be. If you're not yourself, who are you going to be? Got to be yourself all the time.
Yeah. I think that's why probably I keep quiet because I'm gonna be tossed in a loony bin if I say anything.
You know what? Would that really be so bad? Like to be in a loony bin? I mean, you don't have to work anymore. You can nap all the time. You get food when you're hungry. Let's get facts here. Would that be
Some
really
interesting
so bad?
people in there.
Right. You would never get bored of the people.
Oh
And if
God.
you're crazy enough, it'll be like meeting them over and over again every day.
I think I'd miss my coffee in the morning.
It's not so fun.
I'm just terrible, I think.
I just think about, you know what, a vacation from life. Okay, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Except I want my food. You better pack my food in my bag because I'm not eating that garbage.
Japanese gas station food.
Oh yeah.
It's different here.
Yeah.
That's the one thing people say the first thing they miss when they leave Japan is 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Because I have you go out the front door of my place and you go straight. There's a store right there.
That's cool. I just have neighbors. They probably are.
Yeah.
I feel like my neighbors are like, why is that girl coming and going 800 times a day? She's always driving all the time. You look at the back of my car and it's just plastered in stickers from like every state and some crazy other places that I've been to and whatever. And they're probably like, I don't know. Then I just disappear for months at a time.
Like, oh, bye. Hi, bye.
Yeah. I leave in what is today? Today's the 9th. So in like 11 days, I leave for North Carolina for a couple months. So
that sounds cool.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
Are you investigating anywhere in North Carolina?
I'm actually, my friend Stacy is out there. For people who've been like following my events and things, Stacy Johnson has been added to like a few of my events, and her and I are going to plan kind of like a tour of events. So I'm gonna be out there doing that. But Stacy works in horror films, so she's associated with the Conjuring films. She played Pennywise in some of the scenes in the It movies. So she's got quite an extensive career in film and horror film and things like that. So I'm excited to have her. And she's like so crazy, but like the super fun. She'll do anything, will make you laugh, just happy-go-lucky, amazing human being. So I'm super excited to just be hanging out. Like just some of the stupid videos we made in her house at like 3 a.m. because we're bored. They're just funny. So I'm I look forward to spending more time with her because she's a lot of fun, and I look forward to having her at the events because y'all will love her. So
I think a lot of us who are in the paranormal are a little bit different. I think I'm not going to use crazy because it's just a label. I think we're a little bit more open. We're a little bit more wacky.
it's definitely me. I'm not even gonna lie.
No, neither am I. I'm saying, okay, I'm the most abnormal person that there is, and to find normal, that's a little bit overrated these days. But I think I'm more open. I'm not gonna plant roses up your behind, but I think I'm more normal, and I can be serious too when I need to, but I just find it a little bit too stuffy. Okay, so I just like I'll say the most dumbest thing.
That's good though. I always tell when I do the tours and when I do the events, I tell people all the time, like paranormal investigating, I relate it to the movie Monsters Inc. Because in the beginning people think, oh, it's all the energy comes from scaring, but at the end you learn that you get more energy from laughter. And
Yeah.
some of the best evidence happens when we're all sitting around laughing and having a good time. And I'm like, think of it this way. If you're sitting there and you're just, come at me, bro, like I'm going to hit you in the face with a frying pan and call the police. Like, I'm not going to entertain you in my house. But if you're laughing and having a good time, who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Oh yeah, and I think we have a lot more. I think we're people in the paranormal are a lot more open. Okay,
I feel like that's why we all get along with each other more than
yeah,
other people. Not
yeah.
that we don't like other people, we just get each other more. Like, I can talk to you about sitting in a room talking to myself for hours. You'd understand. Everyone else would be like, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. And they said, hey, don't knock it. That's my middle name, I like being crazy. Hi, Andrew.
Lots of weird stuff when it's festive. Where
Yeah.
are you at, Andrew? Are you in Japan too?
Nope. Nope.
No.
He's my buddy. He's my buddy friend.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Andrew.
Like we're all like every like
Oh my
I
gosh,
got
I
a
love
lot of list of
Utah.
people who are in the paranormal, and we're all just a little bit
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I say. I feel like we get along with other people in the paranormal community
Yeah.
more than other
Where are you at in
people.
Utah, Andrew? I go to the Asylum 49 out there in Twelly. I've gone there a few times. The owner's amazing. Their haunted house, if you've never been there, you've got to go. It's fantastic. Like waiting to see where he's at. He's probably like, I know where that place is. I feel like everybody in Utah knows where Asylum 49 is.
Yeah.
At least if they don't, they should. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. I think a lot
Salt
of
Lake
us.
City.
Okay. Salt Lake City.
Nice. Well, definitely go if you get a chance, go check it out. It's pretty amazing. And you can go whenever. They have like half of the building is now like a community center. So you can go and they have little shops in there and they have like a little diner in there. And then like the other half is for like the haunted house and stuff like that. So
Oh, that sounds fun.
yeah, it's awesome. They do one of those haunted houses too that's like contact. So you pay to like have them mess with you pretty hard. I took part in
Wow.
that last year and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. These are like kids.
I was gonna say, I don't know how I feel about some of those.
They're not
Especially the ones that are just like especially the ones that get too bad where you have to have a safe word.
They do have kind of a system, like, because you get to choose, like, if you want no contact, if you want a little contact, or if you don't care what they do. But of course, they still even have limits to that. But if you get to a point where, like you're scared or you don't want to do it, they have like the glow necklaces, and so if you pull it off, they leave you alone. So that's kind of like the warning. But they're not really. I mean, it's pretty crazy and it's super amazing and the kids love it and kids run it. But they don't get to the point where you're like, I need a psychiatrist now. It's not one of those. But it's a lot of fun. So they do a really good job.
Some of the places here you'll need a psychiatrist afterwards.
After living with my kids for how many years, I need a psych ward. So
Yeah,
it is
I
necessary.
think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Especially if
Mhm.
you have a whole bunch of kids. Like in my house, all my kids are all touchy feely kids. Like they all have um they see things, okay. And I think, yeah, in my house everyone's saying shh. I go, okay, I won't say anything. And they'll say, oh, you know what? That place is haunted. Like they're all saying, what, where?
My kids are just like, whatever, mom. They're also all in their 20s. So,
Yeah, mine are also, except I have two that are, one's 19 and one's 18, and the other one's 28, and they're all going, what's haunted? Where? I go, oh yeah, can you see that one? They go, yeah. And all, that's what our business is. And we say, let's watch this haunted film. They go, okay, we'll do that. Like, we're all doing this, and I think the other people are going, you know what, your family's weird. I said, yeah, well, that's good. That's the fun part about it.
yeah, mine didn't really get into the paranormal that. I mean, they support me and whatever, but my youngest one will run events with me sometimes, but she's more of an actress.
Mhm.
I'm just like, here, you need to be in this and you need to be in that. She doesn't necessarily like dressing up
Mm.
at the crack of dawn, but she'll do it because I'm her mother.
Yeah. Well, he's a sport mom, you know. Right.
She's a good kid. I pay her in chocolate if that tells you anything.
Yeah. Mom, are you buying dinner? He goes, yeah, okay, I'm coming.
It's
We
amazing.
have a house attraction here. We only have one. And it's at this place called Bosch, which is basically like a Dutch town amusement park. What they call it amusement park, there's not really any rides. It's mostly like fun little museums. But one of them around October is this haunted house.
Is
But
that a
it's
house boss,
Bosch.
Amanda?
What?
Is that house boss?
Yeah, Bosch.
Okay.
That's here down. That's down here where I am. But they don't have actors. It's a virtual reality one.
Mm.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And that's also why they say it's scarier, because it's like I said, it's not actors jumping out at you, it's virtual reality stuff coming at you.
Have you gone through it at all?
I have not yet.
I mean, that sounds kind of cool. I would love to see that for
I've
sure.
been to house boss, but I haven't seen that yet.
And I think it's only around like October.
Oh, shoot. I gotta go back there.
So you have to let me know when you do, because that's literally where I'm at. So
Yeah. My husband's parents were born and raised in that area, and that's why I know that area. And my husband does too. He was raised in that area too. So anything haunted, he knows. But I gotta go there.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so many haunted places here. Like, because we're planning, to do some more stuff on the East Coast, and I put out a thing yesterday for suggestions, and holy cow, did people like come through? I was so grateful. But it's so many locations on one. It's going to take me forever to figure out and get through. But I'd prefer that than not knowing at all. But it's weird because being in the Midwest, you don't really. I know about the ones that I go to here and the few here and there, but there's some that I'd never heard of. I'm like, there's so many places, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have enough time or money to get to all of them. I wish I could, but even if I had, the money, and didn't have to work, I still don't think you could get to them all in a lifetime.
No.
So, and
It's
then you
okay. I'll visit one.
fall in love with certain places, so you go back and you keep going back.
I'll visit when I'm a spirit. I'll go there.
Then you have all the time and you don't need money. You're the star attraction.
You're joining in the investigations.
Mm-hmm. I know that's what I'm gonna like become a spirit and just go around and I'm just gonna be that asshole ghost out there messing with everybody. You know, that'll be me.
It'll slip into a bar and have a little drink, and then I'll go back.
I know. I'd actually probably be like, here, I'll just do your dishes. Someone would be like waking up. I don't know. I dirty the dishes. I wake up and they're clean. I don't understand. I think that would trip people out more than anything. Like,
Yeah.
I live in a haunted house where the ghost cleans. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I used to work in a call center for a security company, and we get called all the time, and the alarm never went off, but this person swore somehow this person bypassed the alarm because they'd come home to a clean house. The alarm was never set, never like any doors or windows opening. They'd just be like, I'm coming home to a clean house. And I'm thinking, how do I get this person to break into my house then? Because they're like, nothing's missing. It's just, I'm coming home to a cleaner house.
Yeah.
I go, wow. I
wouldn't mind someone breaking into my house, not taking anything, just clean it and leave. I was like, I don't know why you're complaining. I wish I could have said that, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'd be thrilled coming home to everything there, but it's clean.
It's probably because when somebody cleans, you don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
They can't find their stuff anymore. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
That would be great, though. Like, I would totally love it.
Yeah, me too. Can I borrow that? Can I borrow you?
Of course, that'd be me as a ghost making a mess because I can, and you can't force me to clean it up.
No.
Hey, that's a valid point. You know, I feel like I would just nap all day. Like, I just, at least for, the first 32 centuries. And then maybe I'd change.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But you'd have so much fun napping and having fun. And just, I'll do that tomorrow. I got all day.
I would just get bored. I would be so bored. Like, what? I'm a workaholic. Like, what would I do? I would just have to go and mess with people and, just have fun, I guess. Because I don't even know what I do. It's kind of a weird question.
I'll be right back. Just a second.
That's the one thing I hated when I was always busy with work and people would be asking, what do you do in your free time? Like, I don't have any. And then they're like, well, if you did, what would you do? And I'm like, I wouldn't even know. I'd be sitting there probably freaking out thinking, am I not doing something I'm supposed to?
I struggle with that. And then I can't tell you how often people are like, did you see this on TV or watch this movie? And I'm like, I don't even own a TV. And then that just opens up a whole nother line of questioning. But I don't, like, as soon as I turn it on, I'll stream. I think I have Discovery Plus, and that's the only thing that I actually have. I don't have any other whatever. And I turn it on for background noise, and I'm asleep. That's it. It's that simple. If I'm going to watch a movie, it probably takes me a week and a half to get through one movie because I just turn it on. And then the next night, wherever I left off, I'll go back to that until I'm finally through the whole thing.
It's funny you said that because Bob Barker, he didn't own a TV either. So we were watching a prank show, and they're pranking people. They're checking him into a hotel room, and they made a joke. It was like, they made a joke like, oh yeah, there's no TV in this room. Of course, everyone was not happy, but they also showed like, we happen to also be checking in Bob Barker, and they brought him into the room. And they're just like, yeah, well, there's no TV in this room, and he was the only one. Like, that's fine. I don't even own one, so I wouldn't even turn it on anyways. So he was the only one not mad. Like, no, I wouldn't even turn it on. I don't even have one at home.
Yeah,
which is so weird hearing it from someone like Bob Barker, who was always on TV for at least 30 some years. However long he was on The Price is Right.
Yeah. Well, and I get it, because editing film, like when was editing my own series, like I couldn't have you can't have a TV on. You can't even have music on. You can't have background noise. Like you're paying attention to what you're doing. You got to be able to hear what you're doing. When I was mixing and mastering bands and recording, you can't have music playing, you can't have the TV on. You got to focus on what you're doing. You got to hear what you're doing. You can't, and I think over the years of that happening, I just have no interest in watching TV. And my
Especially
child,
going out over paranormal equipment, you have to, or evidence and videos, you have to be trying to listen to any little whispers of a voice. You can't do that when you have a TV on in the background.
exactly. My son is literally just standing in the doorway staring at me. I don't even know why. What? And now he's going outside. Don't I? He's like 27, so he's oh. Oh, I love that kid.
So used to growing up in a paranormal, I'm assuming.
I mean they're older, and I didn't really start until, gosh, I don't even know how old he was. Brian would have been, because I've only been doing this like 7 or 8 years, and he's 27. So they've kind of, I was a single mom. I raised him by myself. I didn't even have a life. They kind of put up with the music stuff and me going to school, and that was when they were in middle school and then high school. So that's kind of where we all were when they were growing up. So the paranormal stuff is like they didn't really grow up with it at all. We had other things going on. So we did live in we lived in South Carolina, and again, this was before I was really into it. But this house that we lived in, we had like the French doors, a big open floor plan. So I can't the back deck. There was only one way on and one way off. And if you really wanted to get off the other way, you'd have to go all the way up to the next level where my dad's my dad lived upstairs. He had like his whole house was like on top of our house. And so we would sit in the kitchen, and I have people over, and I'd be facing with my back to those doors. And so often people would be like, somebody's on your back deck. And we get up and go look, and there'd be nobody there. We would hear like people walk across the bedroom upstairs, the water in my room turned on in my own bathroom, and the water would just turn on by itself. And then my second youngest daughter, she would tell me, like, there were nights, she didn't tell me this till she was older, but sometimes she would wake up in the middle of the night, and she said the shower curtain would just really fast go to like one side of the shower, because they had their own bathroom too. And so they would freak her. She's like, I can't sleep. And then they had it was one of those Dora the Explorer dolls. And it kept ending up, and I was like, why is this doll always in the hallway? And they're like, because we took the batteries out, Mom, and it is still talking. So they eventually made me throw it away. But so, I mean, all that stuff kind of happened, but I was just like, whatever. Like, it didn't bother me then. But I didn't do all the paranormal stuff, but I was like, it is what it is. I think they were mad about that more than anything, because I was just like, oh, well.
I've always said I wish I could go back and help myself when I was younger, because I grew up in a haunted house too. But I grew up in my dad was a Baptist minister, so they weren't into the paranormal. So I didn't really get the help that I needed then. But looking back at it, I was like, I have so many questions now from my past experiences with it. I'm like, I wish I could go back in time and sit with my younger self and see what it actually was there.
Yeah, I would like to do that too. There's so many things that I think of, being younger, things that happened that I just blew off and was like, it's funny though, because my mom, she'll even be like, yeah, do you remember in that farmhouse when I'd make you guys come sit with me by the attic? It's because I was terrified there were ghosts in there. And it's like, great, you used a 5 and a 6-year-old as a buffer. Good job, Mom.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
I think I would have rather see the old me and find out what was in our place too, and try to help my children when they were going through certain things and that got scared, and how would I help them. I would be much different back then if I knew what to do back then than I do what I knew now. It's just yeah, what I know now is totally different than me back then, who really didn't know anything and who was also scared myself back then. But I think I would have acted totally different, and I would have done things totally different than what I know now. It's just, yeah, I wish I knew.
Yeah, I agree to that. I probably would have just probably wouldn't have been like, "Oh well, Ashley, good night."
Yeah,
It's it's like that meme where the kid is going to bed and then he's like, "Dad, can we go to a haunted house?" And the dad's like, "What's wrong with the one you live in?"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm a terrible parent.
How does your
Mm,
kids feel about you being a paranormal now, especially now that they're older, so they didn't grow up in it?
I mean, they never really like I guess had such a big interest in it, but
mhm,
they are my biggest supporters. I think they did struggle a little bit when it was time for them to get on their own, but my
mhm.
kids also, for the most part, um, one day I was like, "I'm selling the house, get out. You have a year," and I was just ready to have a life of my own for the first time ever, and so they struggled with the whole like it's time to grow up type of thing. And
Mm,
of course, because that's luck would have it, as soon as they were all in their own apartment, the COVID lockdowns happened. So I now had
yeah.
4 kids learning how to live on their own through probably one of the toughest possible times ever. So it was a
Hmm.
struggle and it was hard, but now that we're through all of that, they love that I travel. They love all the things I do. They like watching it, I think, just as much as a lot of other people. So they're just supportive and they're just great kids. I mean, I couldn't have asked um, for a better kid. I really couldn't have. They're amazing. So yeah, they the Joshua, they understand that now. Like mom needs her own life.
Yeah.
They're so cute because I don't have my own house and I haven't for 4 years. I don't have I don't have any of that. I've just been living on the road because I there's no point. And so they're always like, no, come stay with me, come stay with me. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, they're wonderful. I can't say enough good things about them. They're great human beings. So maybe one day they'll come join me. For now, they're doing their own thing, and that's fine.
Irene's children, like she said before, they're spooky like her, but they don't want to be. Is that correct, Irene?
Mm, my oldest son, he's trying to deal with it in his own way. He sees, he does, but I think he'd rather not. I think what happened to him, I think, did a lot of damage to him mentally, and I think he's just trying to survive. And my middle child, she's just nah. She sees, but she just, yeah, that's fine. Putting it out of her head. But my youngest one, he'll join me and say, "Oh yeah, what do you think about it? Oh yeah, that's haunted for sure. I can see a lot of stuff." Like he's more into it. But yeah, it's been really hard, I think, for them growing up here. It's like Tokyo's 90% haunted, okay? You go out the front door, you don't have to pay anything. You could see anything haunted all you want, right? It's just out in the open. And I think uh it living with this being haunted, and my youngest son goes to a high school that's also haunted too, and he freaks him out. So I don't think he'll be going to the bathroom in that school anymore. But but yeah, I think
He's gonna
it,
run into Moaning Myrtle in there.
yeah, it's just God, you know. I think it freaked him out in the beginning. I think yeah, he's not doing that anymore. Like, imagine going to the toilet and just relieving yourself, and all of a sudden you hear it knock, knock, knock. You go, nope. They
Oh,
You say,
Japan,
nope, not doing that anymore. And he said, Mom, why?
poor
How do you
thing.
know? I said, yeah, I knew. And they just didn't want to tell you. Like, you couldn't find the right time to tell you. He goes, you should have told me. I said, well, I'm kind of like doing that at him. He goes, dang. At least he does his homework remotely now. Since COVID, they do homework remotely,
Yeah.
and as long as he sends in his assignments through his iPad, um, yeah, he's good. I'm good.
That's good.
But yeah, I think
Japan has their own version of Bloody Mary,
yeah,
and she only haunts school bathrooms.
yeah.
I don't blame her.
What was her name, Irene? It starts with an H, doesn't it?
I don't remember her name. My husband knows. Ugh. It's not Hanako, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, Hanako. Something like
Oh,
that.
oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it was so, especially like on the third floor, you walk into this stall. You go, yeah, third floor, you walk into the bathroom, you go to the third store, you knock, and you ask her if she's there. And then, what happens if she answers, Irene? You remember?
Yeah, yeah, she does. And then if you do that, you're lucky if you come out alive or not. You know, they can unalive you anytime they want to, right? That's why it's so dangerous doing these certain things, and they advise you not to do it. But you know what? People from other countries want to do it because they want the thrill of it, right? And it's just, yeah, you'd be kind of dumb to be doing stuff like that, right? Especially in this country when there's so much dangerous things that around the paranormal. You just, yeah, you'd unalive yourself, and it's just something that you don't want to get yourself into.
They say you also have to be careful though if you go if you use the restroom next to that stall, because
Hmm.
she may ask you, "Do you want to play?" And it's better
Hmm.
just like to not answer, because if you answer, she's probably going to drag you to the underworld.
So is this like every school or just a specific school?
I
That
think every school is supposed to be
It's
like
every
that,
school. Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
died in a bathroom.
Yeah.
There's two different stories. Well, there's a couple of different stories. She either unalived herself because she was being bullied, or
Hmm.
another one was she died in a bombing.
Hmm.
She died in a bombing while you in the bathroom.
Yeah.
would just be an awful way to go, like just dying in
Yeah.
the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'd also hate to haunt my school too because of it.
Right? That's one place I would be just happy with not haunting either.
But that's what they say. Japanese schools are very scary because my son also went to junior high, and there is his school is also haunted. My youngest son's school's haunted too, and he goes to high school, and it's just something that it's just notorious from Japanese school being haunted. Okay, because you get a lot of SVS victims, right? Because they jump, okay,
Mhm.
because of one thing or another, and that's why the schools are haunted, so haunted in Japan. It's just crazy. Like my when my when my son was going to junior high, he said, "Oh, there's a girl in the music room. Let's go investigate." And his teacher said, I'm not going there." He goes, "You come with me." "Why?" "I gotta go to the bathroom." And the teacher said, "Why don't you have to go to the bathroom by yourself?" He goes, "No, you're scaring me. I'm scared. Let's go to the toilet.
Oh my
Let's go to
goodness.
let's go to the toilet." And after that, I don't think he ever stayed after 5:30. I think he barreled out of there. After 5:30 at night. I think it scared the bleepers out of him. I think he got frightened. But yeah, my youngest son's school is very haunted too because there's a well in the middle of the gymnasium, and they uncovered it when the mom threw the daughter down the well. Make a long story short, mom threw the daughter down the well, and she was 14 years old. And they when they built the school ended the gymnasium, the well ended up in the middle of the gymnasium, and they open up the well, and now she's released, and she haunts the school, right? So yeah, it's just stuff like that happens. Like they use after the family dies, they sell the plots, and they sell it to land developers, and they build stuff on top of it, right?
Hmm.
Because the land is so precious that you utilize the land however you can. And so when they're finding out that they're building stuff like that on top of old properties that had history, it's just like they're haunted, right? So they build apartment buildings, they build stuff that had battles on it a long time ago, and it's just like, yeah, and imagine it's like building a house, it's like building a whole bunch of apartment blocks on top of Gettysburg. That's how it's like.
Yeah, that's
Uh, it,
that's crazy.
it's just absolutely nuts. And then these apartment buildings go for like like 1,500 plus a month, right? They're really expensive. And you're seeing samurai warriors with half their bodies going in and out of the walls, right? And it's really haunted. And they don't know they don't know what to do because the rent is so expensive. They're living in these really nice apartment buildings that are so beautifully created, and yet it's freaking haunted, right?
Yeah.
It's just how it is. It's just the life here, right? And I would say 90% of the land is, but I mean maybe 60% of the land is haunted. So you really need a clairvoyant when you buy a house, because you don't know what's on the land and you don't know what's in the house. Because I'm going to tell you really quick, real estate agents, they don't know anything. You can't find history about anything around here.
We don't have vital records here because a lot of people, it's just like, why don't you just go and learn it from the library or vital records? Like, we don't. Vital records not a thing here. We don't keep records of things. Unfortunately, you can't go and dig up who owned it before. There's just none of those records here.
Well, that's kind of sad.
Mhm.
Like I enjoy looking up, especially when I do new locations and whatever. I love looking up the history and whatever. And the funny thing too about that is how many haunted locations have people gone to where they give you a history tour and they tell you the history, and like most places there are some stories that somebody told once and then it just stuck for whatever reason,
Yeah.
but they're not even true.
Yeah.
And it's not like people intentionally lying,
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's just like wise tales that just keep going and going and going. And then they grow into this like fantastic story that never really happened. Like maybe the person existed, but the story doesn't really. And so I enjoy uncovering a lot of that, but also uh, historians typically don't like me because they want to like hide the dark history.
Hmm.
But I'm like, unfortunately, that's part of the history.
Yeah,
That's
it
that's
is.
part of it. And hiding the negative things that happen, that's the cause for negative history to repeat itself. I believe that we need to remember those negative things and those bad things that happen so we learn a lesson and continue to learn the lesson and continue to pass it so that we're bettering ourselves instead of falling back into the horrible things that humanity has done. So
Yeah.
But unfortunately, not all of us learn, right? And unfortunately, history
yeah.
has repeating itself, right? So,
Mhm.
and that's how dark things happened, and that's how bad things happened, and it's just part of, I don't know, it's part of life, it's part of living. I think the main problem here is I have is that you buy a place, a multi-dwelling condo, and stuff started happening, and you want to know why, and you're locked into this thing where you paid a lot of money and you bought it and you wish you know what happened there a long time ago, and you have no idea. So it's just like you own a lot of money to the bank because you bought this thing. Yeah, it's so bad that you want to move up but you can't, right? It's
Mhm.
just financially you're strapped, and it's like it's come on, it's
Well,
really
in the United States, if somebody dies in the house or if there's any claims of hauntings in a house, you
yeah.
have to divulge that before you sell the house. That's legal here. And if you don't, you can get in some serious trouble. It can null and void a contract. If they don't, if the real estate agent knows about it or it's listed on the property and you move into the home and they don't tell you, and you find out that it is and that there were reports of it, like the real estate agent will get in trouble, and I think it undoes your contract.
That's actually why a lot of people who own haunted houses, a lot of people are like, "Why don't you have a paranormal investigation team come in?" And they say that's the reason for it is because if a paranormal team comes in and they
Mhm.
get something and they want to sell the house later, that unfortunately has to be shared. And not everyone is okay with owning something that may or may not be haunted.
Hmm.
Here there's no law with that, right? So they'll really quiet try to sell it for as much money they can get from it, and it's like you're on. And I lived in that situation for 20 years. We had to live in this haunted place, and it was like hell on earth for us. But I mean, I couldn't find any information, but I couldn't find any history. It was so bad. There were portals like everywhere. It's like I was getting tortured every 6 years, and it just like there's so much going on. We had a crucifix on my went flying off the wall and went upside down, landed upside down on my counter. And my daughter and my son were just sitting there watching TV, and we freaked out. Yeah, not doing this scared the heck out of us. And he said, "We want to leave," like, and we couldn't because, like, we were locked into this place financially. Finally, we got enough money, we were able to leave, and we sold our suite, but that anymore. That's why I don't live in a haunted house anymore. You know,
Yeah.
and they say, why not? It'll be great to own a haunted house. Not in Japan. I want to own a haunted house. I'm like, it's dangerous.
And see, and I believe that, I think the house we lived in South Carolina was definitely haunted. Probably the farmhouse that I grew up in, I believe was haunted as well. But it was never anything, I guess, terrifying. Like it just was. I mean, obviously my daughter was scared, but when you're young and you don't really know, or, and then you have a mother who's like, oh, well, I get it. But, I just, to me, it was just never a bad experience. I mean, you kind of feel the hair standing on the back of your neck and things like that, but it was never anything to me terrifying. It still isn't. I've done investigations where it's just me doing a live, locked in a location by myself, and um, people would always be like, "Oh, how can you do that?" Blah blah blah, and I'm like, it's never scared me. I've never had anything bad happen. There's this place in St. Joseph, Missouri called Beatty Mansion, and everybody talked about how there was this evil entity and this dark entity down this hallway and whatever. And so I was given an opportunity to go and investigate it by myself. So the first thing I did was go up in that hallway and
Mhm.
try to reach out to this so-called evil entity. And I ended up, through evidence, basically getting the name Jack, and then having like conversation, and he was a soldier and this and that, which later I found out that was actually all potentially true. Whether there was someone actually there by the name of Jack, the whole soldier thing, the story, everything was all true. And I'm not a psychic, so this was just done with between spirit box and EVP and whatever. And people have been calling this entity evil and dark and scary for how long? Well, I go back with 2 other friends and I reach out to this Jack again, and I get one of the most incredible EVPs ever that says never give up. And he was said to me in a time that I was really struggling and having a really hard time. And I have to point out, when people listen to it, I have to tell people that it's an EVP, because it's so clear, like we're sitting here talking right now, like it sounds like a person. And I have to say, nope, that's an EVP. And to even further prove that it is, there were 3 of us all filming alive, and it was caught on everybody's cameras, recorders, everything. And you could see each one of us full face in the lives, and not one of us was speaking. So it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty profound in my opinion. And that was all done by some dark entity, supposedly. Not very dark entity at all. It was very gentle soul, just wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
And now I tell this story everywhere. So
I think someone else also told us they investigated that place. They also got a Jack who said they were a soldier. So that's not the first time we've heard it from there. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
probably is Jack a soldier who's there.
That's very interesting. I'm curious who that was. Like, I wonder if it's somebody that I know, because that would be amazing to be able to reach out and hear their story. So if you ever remember, let me know, because I would love to
I feel like I've heard that. Someone else said they investigated that place, and it was a Jack who said he was a soldier there.
Mm-hmm.
I think spirits here are a little bit different.
They are definitely different here. And that's one thing I tell people.
Yeah, there's something on this side of Japan. They can be jealous. They can be nasty. They can kill you. Okay. They have me that right, and they can cause you painful injury. They can make you sick. So you have to be very careful and pick and choose which spirits. Well, I have to be careful. I have to be careful which spirits I pick and choose to talk to. And, there's some I just refuse to even have any conversation with, and you just don't want to interact with them, and you just, yeah, okay, not talking to you, not doing anything with you. Like, I'm done. Like, but there are others that I will be able to help, and others that I will be able to cross over and make them feel that they need help. But there are others that I just don't want it. I just don't want to have anything to do with. And that's why I usually close my ears off. I say, yeah, take a number. Sorry, not going to help you. Bye. Like, and they'll disappear. But it's just really crazy living in a place like this where it's it can be really unhealthy, and it can be very frightening. So you just don't you don't want to touch it. There are places in Japan where my husband can go, but I have to follow behind him, because if it's a woman's spirit, she'd be jealous if we go together. So she'd have to go in front and I have to go behind him. There are places like that in this country. And there are temples that you can't go together because she'd be jealous and something would happen. Like, we went together. I didn't know that. We went to this place at New Year's and we're supposed to get blessed, and it was okay. And so we went there. We went up the mountain, and it was, I think, when my mom was still alive, we all went together, all 3 of us walking together, and we were all talking, having fun and laughing, giggling. And my husband automatically lost $20, which is it's nothing really. And then I learned a long time ago that she gets jealous if if women walk with a guy together, because she died of an illness when she was young, and her father made this memorial for her. So they made a beautiful goddess. Uh, I don't know, Buddhist goddess, and she looks over the mountain, but she's also haunted, and she doesn't like people walking together. So you lose your money or you fall or something crazy will happen. It's yeah, not normal. So you gotta be careful. Just going to uh, a, a temple together. You don't want.
Yeah. I definitely want to come out there and explore one day. Hopefully that's a thing that happens. I just want to see the whole world. I want to see the whole country and the world and experience all these different things. I'm sure it's just so unique over there, and the whole experience is unique and different. But that's one of those things too. Like it's probably smart to learn the cultures and the customs that they like. I'm just gonna go somewhere and be like rude, unintentionally rude, and that's the last thing I want to do.
Or you can come and stay with me. I got lots of room.
Sounds good to me. You'll just keep me from getting in trouble.
I get what you mean though, because one thing when I first moved here, a lot of people are gonna say you're gonna say effing Americans like you're not one. And I get it because there's times where people are over here and they're acting rude from American standpoint, so it's extra rude over here. The best example I can use is several times we'll be in a restaurant and you hear someone on the other side of the restaurant blaring their music. I'm not just saying, playing some music loud enough for them to hear, blaring
Yeah,
it so I can barely hear the person next to me, and I'm all the way on the other side of the restaurant and we're looking at them.
yeah.
It's just like that's rude in American standards. It's extra rude here where they're not as loud.
Yeah.
So we're just like, this is why people hate us, man. What are
I
you
went
doing?
to I went to a restaurant with a friend of mine one time, and we're sitting there eating, and my friend's just like, I think the guy behind you is watching porn. Um, and sure enough, he was loud as could be right behind us. So of course I videoed it. I was like, what is this? I'm trying to eat. This guy's literally behind us. Full
Yeah.
out. I'm like, what is he doing over there? I mean, I get it was a Mexican restaurant, but still, save that for home.
I mean, you're
That's the kind
yeah,
of stuff we deal with over here. It's great.
you-
Let me tell you.
some places you cannot bring out your cell phone. You can't talk to another person on your cell phone when you're in a restaurant in this country. Um, you cannot speak loud. You can't do anything like that because it's just a hidden rule that you don't do in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very strict about rules here, right?
I want
So
to know what he's doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Public transportation is the same way here. You get on the train, you're not supposed to be on your cell phones or talking loudly.
yeah. The like you have to have you could play your game while you're on your phone, right? But you have to have the volume low, or you have to use headphones, right, when you're doing
Headphones,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they just don't let you talking to another person on a bus, on public transportation, on bus, or anything like that, or on a train. So it you have to be really respectful of other people. It's not just you; it's everyone else.
Yeah. I do feel like that's something that is very much lost in this country
Yeah,
is respecting that there are other people around. Like my dad, for instance, he's my dad, and I know he doesn't do it intentionally, but I found myself pointing it out to him a lot. Just simple things like we go to the grocery store and there'd be someone standing there looking on the shelf, and he would just go right in front of them and get what he needs, and I'm like, Dad, pay attention. That's rude.
yeah,
So I think it's people in this country have grown to just not have this understanding that we exist as a community and as other people, and we're just in our own little worlds. I struggle with that. I struggle with watching that and whatever. And it's nice to know it's not that way everywhere. It does make me feel a little bit better. And I'm not innocent of either. I know there's been times, and I call it accidentally rude. Your intentions are not, and you're just kind of in your own space and whatever. You just do things that are rude. So I try to be more vigilant of that of myself. But unfortunately, sometimes we get into our own heads, and then that's what we do, and it's you know. But
I think
unfortunately, it's the American way.
I think we came out of pandemic faster than any other countries. I think we were the first ones who would wear masks in public, and we still do. It's a place that we still do.
Mhm.
And especially when we go to the hospital, I have to put on my mask and I have to go in there because I have to see my doctor. And it's just, and we go to a restaurant. If it's a Viking, we have to wear a mask, and they have gloves there, so you can put whatever you want on your dish, and then bring it back to your table. You can take off your mask. You can eat it. I think we were the first ones that came out of COVID a lot faster because we did that here, and
They
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 still,
were already doing the mask before it was
yeah,
required, basically.
yeah,
So it was nothing new here.
yeah.
Yeah,
And even kindergarten children are required to wear a mask when they go to school and get on that kindergarten bus. They wear a mask, and they wear a mask until they come home.
wow.
Yeah, and schools here, you all have to wear a mask when you go to school here in Japan, even afterwards, because they don't want you to get sick. It's not protecting. It's protecting everybody else from you.
Yeah. When I noticed that too, like now, I mean, before COVID, nobody ever even noticed when someone was wearing a mask, or we just assumed that they had, like an allergy or they were sick or something. We didn't really, but now, even after COVID, like there's still those people who were doing it before for various health reasons or whatever. But now people are so quick to just be like, oh, look at that person. They look stupid. Like, why are they wearing a mask? It's like, you don't know why they're wearing it. You have no idea. People just make these magical assumptions that they're doing it because they're still afraid of COVID. But it's like, you can't say that, and you don't know that. There's a variety of reasons. Just like
Yeah,
people were making fun of people wearing masks in vehicles by themselves. And I
yeah,
was like, people could be delivering food. They could
yeah.
be delivering medical equipment. There's a variety of reasons why somebody would still wear a mask in their car at that point in time.
Right.
Because I was doing Uber during the lockdowns and stuff because I needed something to do. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lose my job because someone sees me delivering their food without a mask on. I'm just not gonna do it. And I'm like, whether you agree with it or not, if me wearing a mask made other people more comfortable,
Yeah,
then who cares? Just do it. It's not a
yeah,
big deal.
yeah. I think we're still wearing masks in this country because in the springtime, I think the allergies are really bad.
Right? I know. I wake up every day like, but
Yeah, me too. And my eyes are watering. And, oh
yeah, and I'm allergic to Benadryl, so I can't even take anything for it. It's
God. Yeah,
amazing. Um, yeah,
yeah.
so that's that's
I'm
it.
here with doing my eye drops. I'm taking my allergy medicine. I'm going. "Ugh." I said I dread it every spring.
Yeah, it's funny. Josh just said that in Florida, people are punching people for wearing one. Actually, I kid you not. Like right after the lockdowns, it was like maybe um, I don't know. It was not right after, but it was when they were starting to get a little bit more relaxed about the masks. And I went to the grocery store and I pull up and there's a fight going and some guy pulled a gun on another guy for wearing one.
Oh,
And yeah, like some other random guy that was like walking in the parking lot, like tackled the guy with the gun, and then the police showed up, and I'm just standing there going, I would be at this grocery store today. Um, but I'm just like, that is so ridiculous. So what? Like, so what if you don't like it or don't agree with it? I mean, that's just pure violence.
yeah.
Scary.
People have gotten a little bit crazy after lockdown. I think they've been in their house too long and they just don't know how to react in public anymore.
They finally realized what it was like to be stuck with their family for days on end.
Yeah, right. I'm probably bonkers, right?
I know. I was by myself, and then I just went to New Mexico. I was like, I can't take this. Goodbye. So I went by myself to New Mexico, and I just camped in the desert, pretty much by myself. I was like, that's isolation right
Yeah.
there.
COVID has ruined a lot of relationships and marriages because they were stuck together 24/7 to the
Hmm.
point where people are just kind of sick of each other.
Yeah.
I found that I got a lot of help calls from my house is haunted. I said, you just figured that out. Oh, yeah, because you were stuck in your house 24 hours a day, right?
Like, lay off the bottle. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually had to be home. Yeah.
But,
So
I
funny.
had a conversation. Their house was really haunted. I said, oh, you just figured it out. How long you been living? Oh, for a long time. And I just didn't realize it. And I go, you probably didn't notice it because you're at work all day, right? And your house was empty.
And then you're too tired when you get home, so you just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did get rid of it. I did help them. And yeah, it seems like after COVID, like I've been busy right up to New Year's. Like I'd say, okay, just ignore it. Don't do anything. Don't say anything nasty to it. Just ignore it. I'll call you after New Year's.
I can't do house calls right now. We'll take care of it later.
Yeah, it's like I've been doing that, and ever since after then, it's like, ooh, I need a vacation. I really do because I'm like, my work is just like, like I'm exhausted physically,
Yeah.
mentally. I'm just okay. Like, well, I'll help you up to then, and then after the holidays, I'll virtually talk to you. We'll go through your house, and I'll help you, and I'll get rid of whatever you have in your house. And it's just, oh, will you? I go, yeah. Well, call me right away. I go, I will. Don't worry. I go, oh, God, like, give me a Tylenol, please. I'm telling my. I need a vacation quick. Can we just go someplace?
I get it. Everybody needs a break.
Hmm.
Yeah. It is exhausting, you know, and you can't find. There's a lot of people that will go out and investigate, but they won't clear it, right? I'm the one who goes and investigates, and I clear it for them, and it takes a lot out of me to tell you the truth. And
Mhm.
I by the end, I'm like, I'm done. Like I tell my kids, I can't make dinner. Can you make dinner for us tonight? And he goes, what happened? I'm not gonna talk about it. Just make dinner. And they go, oh, okay, mom's exhausted. Let's make dinner. You're like yeah, it's like once I had one every 3 days. Finally it died down to once a month, right? And it's like it's no 2 months, and I'm saying, okay, I'm done.
I was just reading what Joshua wrote. I agree with that too. Like, people ask me a lot. Like, one biggest questions people ask me all the time is, "Aren't you scared?" And I'm like, I have seen the horrible things that living people do. That the paranormal is nothing. I prefer it over the living. I have such a rough background story and such a rough life that I came from, that I'm like, the paranormal is actually where I find my peace.
Yeah.
So I and people do, and they need to mind their own business. You know what I find funny, since we're talking about that, is I cannot for the life of me figure out why people in the paranormal field think that everybody else's financial situation is their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people will sit there and go, well, I know she can't afford this, and I know she has this job, and how does she have the money to do that and the money to do this? And
Yeah.
doing events, people started, in on me with, oh, you're not allowed to make money and you can't. And I'm like, I'm doing a service. It's my time. It's my money that comes out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Um, I've actually had people, I literally had someone say to me, who would pay $120 to come to one of your events? And I'm like, well, they sell out.
Yeah.
So I guess people want to pay that amount of money. But I put a lot of time and energy into it, and I care very much about the people who come. I
Mhm.
care about the locations a great deal. It's not like all that money is just going in my pocket and it's pure profit.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, quite the opposite. I am poor. I chose to do this for a living, and it has made me very poor.
Yeah.
But I don't care because I
But you
enjoy
gotta
it,
love,
I love it, and I love the people,
yeah,
and it's more important to me than money. So,
you gotta love it to do it. I mean, if you don't love it,
mhm,
get out of it and don't do it if you don't love it.
yeah,
It's
we all know.
yeah, it's just something that for me either I do it or I won't live. I had to make a choice. I was forced in it. So yeah, here I am, right? And yeah, it's just a part of me now. It's a part of my life. It's a part of me. It's with me 24/7. I live with it 24/7. I don't get a break. I like to have a vacation every once in a while because I get exhausted from what I'm doing. It's just a part of me. It's part of me here now. And dealing with the dead is a lot easier than dealing with the living. I mean, there's a lot of gratification in helping a dead spirit. There's a lot of, like, I hope you find your peace someplace, and I'll help you find your peace, and let's do it.
And I think they made macaroni and cheese, and now I'm starving. Like all I can smell, it smells like mac and cheese in here. And I have celiac, so like I can't just be like, bring me a bowl. I have to make my own.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. These
I think
kids.
one thing I'm starting to hear people say more when they're asked if they're afraid of the paranormal, they say, "It's the living I'm scared of more."
I am like for a lot of people though, I mean, I don't really know how much people know, but I have a book that I'm still trying to edit. It's a long process. But I raised my kids by myself because I was a widow with 4 kids by the time I was 23 years old. And that whole marriage was very abusive. Even afterwards, when I finally dig it out, the psychiatrists that I've seen, the counselors that I've seen, said it's either the worst case they've ever dealt with or ever heard of as far as abuse goes. We went into hiding for 12 years after the fact. So it was a very dangerous situation, very rough situation. And I was so young. I was very, very young. My kids are all older than I was,
mhm,
now. It's crazy to see that. And so that's why I'm always like, I've seen the evil living people do.
Mhm.
And I have yet to see it out of one spirit. I don't think I've ever had a negative anything. People talk about getting scratches and things like that. And, I just started thinking, what if it's just a transfer of energy? Why are we just assuming that it's bad or that it's negative? Could it be it sometimes? I'm sure.
yeah,
But I feel like we just jump to these conclusions all the time that things are negative. I feel like people want it to be negative so badly because I think they feel like it brings them attention.
mhm,
And we have one specific TV personality to thank for that. But I
yeah,
just feel like we need to look deeper into this instead of just making these assumptions. And I want it to be a real science. I want it to be respected as a science and as an adventure and a learning. And I don't want to, it's just turned into a freak show sometimes with
what you put out there comes back to you, right? Of course,
exactly.
say something stupid. Of course, you're gonna get scratched. Of course, you're gonna get bitten, or you're gonna get something. Of course, because you're nasty at them. It's just always comes down to being respectful, right?
Yeah. When I'm just saying, if you walk into a place and you're just being a jerk and screaming and yelling and acting like whatever, and you get scratched, like, I'm just saying, it doesn't make that spirit mean. It just makes it defending itself, maybe.
Yeah, that's the one thing we say is even good spirits may go after you for that because you're technically in their house threatening them.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's why I always say, if you walk into my house and you're like, come at me, bro, I'm seriously going to hit you in the face with a frying pan and call 911. I'm not a
Yeah,
violent person. However, if you scare me, I'm going to react.
and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's always
my place,
that,
right?
that's one thing we do say is with spirits who are not evil, if you go in there threatening, either one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to attack back because you're, like you said, defending themselves in their home,
Yeah.
or they're just going to ignore you because they're just like, no, not doing this with you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And can you blame them? I can't blame them. I can't.
Yeah.
If I'm acting like a jerk to somebody and scaring the crap out of them, and they punch me, that's on me.
Yeah.
If I'm all up in somebody's face, screaming and yelling.
Hmm.
But for some odd reason, they do that because they want to label it as evil because that gets more attention than the nice
Right.
ghost that said hi.
And then
Oh,
there's no accountability for, the person doing the provoking, and I think that's just a problem in society in general. I feel like people have lost the ability to take blame for their own actions, and it just trickles down into every little thing that we do. So
and they like to bring drama and everything, and it's and they find, oh, that's boring. Of course it's boring, I mean, what we do is not like, wow, there's the spirit right there, and you see all the blinking and flashing lights. Oh yeah, they're talking. No, they're not. It's just a blinking bunch of blinking and flashing lights. They're not really saying anything to you, like, really? Like, yeah. I mean, sorry,
yeah, and that's it's so easy to the equipment that we have. There's so many flaws in it, and there's so many and I've been spending tons of time trying to come up with something new and something different in different ways and different techniques. I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like we've become stagnant, and I want to move it forward. I want to do something different. I want to discover something and create something. And
I
I don't know. It's just me, but
think
um,
a lot of people rely on a lot of mechanical stuff. Just because the light's blinking and flashing doesn't mean they're answering to you, right?
no,
And
it doesn't.
and and, and I think people have forgotten what a regular tape recorder, a regular camera can do, and you can get the same result with that instead of using all these blinking, flashing lights. It's just like, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, they're saying, oh, thank you for answering me. I go, how do you know that was that? I'm saying, excuse me, it's just a bunch of blinking, flashing lights to me. It's really not answering. Yeah, I'm sorry. And that's why I like to go in there raw, without anything, without knowing anything in the ahead of time, just going there and see what I can see and hear what I can hear, because I can have blown up full conversation with the spirit anytime. And it's like, for me, that's my life,
Hmm.
and it's just like going back to, like what Josh was, going back to basics, right? And just hearing what you can hear, feel what you can feel, knowing and hear what you can see and feel and hear, and understanding their emotions, just doing it through here.
Josh, all I'm saying is if you want to become famous on TikTok, just do this.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
that's it. I've got it figured out.
yeah.
I've been in several public ghost events that unfortunately ended way early because people's expectation in haunted places are unrealistic, where they get bored before the first hour is even done because they're not getting
Yeah.
the big evidence they were hoping for.
I
Yeah.
had people get mad at me and walk out for their investigation because books were not flying off shelves.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Sorry, that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
we wish that
I'm
happened, but
I'm
it
like,
doesn't.
no refunds.
Sorry,
That was my answer. No refunds. Adios. See you
That's
later.
also why they put that on there, because you're gonna have good nights, you're gonna have bad nights, but
Mhm.
still, books are probably not gonna be thrown at you regardless. But
Yeah.
for some odd reason, that's everyone's expectations, and there's times where the first hour isn't even up, and the group is packing up because they're like, we're not getting what we want to. This place is clearly not haunted, so we're just gonna leave because we're bored. I'm like, it's not. It's too early, and unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's actually really tough. Um, Typically doing an investigation or doing an event at a new location.
Mhm.
Whereas like if I go to, the squirrel cage, which I've been there a million times, and Edinburgh Manor and all these places that I've been running events at for the last I don't know how many years, but just you make a bond because we're all made out of energy. And so
Mhm.
I strongly feel that this deep human connection that we should have, that we're supposed to have, it carries on with us spiritually after we're gone. And so doing these locations that I've done over and over again, there's that bond, there's that friendship, there's that comfortability. They know why I'm there. They know what I'm doing. They want to help out. When I did own a building, I would start every investigation with like, okay, guys, this is how we make our money. This is how we keep your place up. I need a little help here. Like I'm doing all this work. Help me out. And every time it would be a great night, a great investigation. And so I bribe them a lot with that, or I don't know if it's bribing or convincing them that I need them to give me a show, but it's true. Without the investigator, I mean, and that's something I appreciate from the investigators coming in and the people buying tickets for events. The locations themselves would suffer financially. People don't. I don't think they realize how expensive it is to own one of these locations. Everything costs 8 million times more than it does in a modern building. You need new windows. It costs way more. The heat goes out. It costs way more. And then that's I think the complaint I get, oh, why are they charging so much? Believe me, they're still poor. They're not
Yeah.
breaking in the dough. They're usually losing a lot of money. It's kind of crazy how people perceive things and what the reality is sometimes, but
It's
A lot of
really
those
expensive.
places, a lot of those places, the owners will even say, how we came up with the price that we're charging is we added up all the bills for the whole entire year and divided it by, days, how much we had to make that day to
yep.
keep it up. So it's like it's bills, it's maintenance. Like you said, if something comes up, a little bit extra just in case something comes up, like the heat goes out, or
Yeah.
something else happens, or something else needs repaired, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually seen some of these locations. The Goldfield High School is one of those. It's a fantastic location, but they needed to repair the wall kept falling, like a whole side of the
Wow.
building kept falling, and that is expensive. And they kept putting it back up and putting it back up. I think they finally got it in a good spot and secure now. I was one of the people who was going in there before anybody should have been in there. But they're so fragile. These places are absolutely fragile. And Robin Terry, who owns Ashmore Estates, he puts his heart and soul into that place. He'll joke and say it's a money pit, but he's probably only half joking. But he does a lot for the community. These buildings, a lot of times they're fighting the community too. Some of these
Yeah.
communities don't want anything to do with. They're so I mean, I believe in God. I'm a Christian too, but I'm going to put it out there. Some of these Christian communities
Mhm.
fight hard and fight against it to kick these people out, and it's just wrong. It's definitely not
Mhm.
Christian like. Would be my opinion on that. But these people are fighting, and it's dumb to me because they bring in a lot of people. You can see the Washoe Club in Virginia City, and if it wasn't for Ghost Adventures filming there, and it's become such a huge place, and I don't know that it would be thriving as well as it is without the paranormal. Tombstone, Arizona is another one. I was just there. Fantastic place. But they need this stuff. They need it. They need our interest. So
And it helps pay the bills. You know,
Mhm.
there are a lot of places here that are haunted. The government can't even sell it. They can't give away for free houses that are haunted, right? I they don't want to live. Nobody wants to live on in this country, so they can't even sell it, right?
Yeah.
They're beautiful homes, right? They're giving it away for free.
Jeez. I mean, I'll take a free house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's not like America. You put something that's haunted for free, you're gonna get several people trying to fight to get it. Here, you put it for free and say it's haunted, and absolutely no one wants it. Everyone's avoiding it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Everyone will say, nope, we'll live over here instead of buying that one because it's haunted. Like,
Yeah.
it's, or supposedly something happened or somebody got killed. So it's an empty house to the day.
Yeah.
And it's like property that is really by here, but yeah, there's just a whole bunch of that are empty, and some of them are on a beautiful, beautiful property. When you buy a house, you own the property, you own the rights to the property, it's yours, and you can do what you want with it, right? You can blow
Yeah.
those down, you can put a new one, like it doesn't matter. It's yours, and you own the whole rights to it. So but don't think, nope, we won't buy that.
Compared to in America, even if you do own it, you still have to get permits and approvals to build anything, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. And that is a challenge too. Let me tell you, we just adding on to our house in South Carolina was the biggest, weirdest thing that I could ever even explain. But having it, it's like, why do you need a permit to build on your? And then there's restrictions like we couldn't have a second like meter on our property because we were trying to build my dad's apartment above the garage, which would take a second like electrical meter. But they said no, because then you could legally rent it out, and we weren't allowed to rent out on our own property. So just weird things like that. So we ended up we ended up lifting the roof on the main house and putting it in the main house, which so dumb. Like, what's the difference? All because of a meter.
That's ridiculous.
That's how it is.
But in Japan, it's like you even own your own telephone line. You buy the line. So if you move out, you don't own the line. You could put it wherever you want to. You could open up the line and put it wherever you want to.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, so you own. It's like you buy the line.
You guys want me to move to Japan? Keep talking.
You buy it and you own. Like a lot of things. It's like nobody bugs you, right? On your own property, you could do whatever you want on your own property, right?
Mhm.
You're within in the city, providing you're within the means, right?
Yeah.
It's your own thing. You do your own thing. Like I plant a whole bunch of of fruit trees outside, right? Nobody said anything. I just dig a hole. My husband dig a hole and he planted it all, right? It's our own property, right? So we don't have to do anything like that. We just, as long as you pay your gas and water bill and your electric bill, nobody says anything in the country. And that's where I think you have, everyone said, well, you're free, your freedom is within the means in another country. But I said, yeah, we're free too. We can do whatever we want. We can say what we want. We can protest if we feel like doing it. We can do anything we want in our own home. It's our home. It's our own property. It's what we do within our thing, and you could do your own thing as long as you're being respectful to the next door. Yeah, you're free to do whatever you want, and we don't need permission to do this. We don't need permission to do that in this country. You don't need it. You do whatever you do what you want to do when you want to do. And I think that's a difference between here. People say
Yeah.
freedom is really important. Well, here too, freedom is extremely important. And I think Amanda will tell you that too. You're free to do whatever you want to do within the means of your own, as long as you're not interrupting anybody else's freedom. You're free to do whatever you want in your own
Yeah.
and Nobody's going to tell you anything. Nobody's going to say anything to you. It's just, yeah, you might get weird looks, but I mean, nobody's going to say.
I get those anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like I don't care. Like, yeah, we're just we just do whatever we feel like doing. Whatever we feel like doing. We could do laundry at midnight. We could do. It's just yeah, like it, and everyone else is like that here. Like we live in a great neighborhood, and everyone's like, well, we're all nutty. They know that I'm nutty too.
That's the best neighborhood.
Yeah. It's just crazy, right? That's why I think I like it. I think that's why I haven't moved out. I think that's why I haven't left the country. It's I don't care if it's haunted. It's just yeah, okay, I live here. I like it.
I definitely hope to get out there someday and just check it out. I want to go there, the Netherlands. It's crazy what you can do now with like Facebook and stuff. And I've made so many friends in the Netherlands. I've never even been there, but those people are freaking amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The sweetest people ever.
I think you find a lot more people who are like you who really don't tell you what they do, right, or tell you what their interests are. I find people who I find more can be more friends. I have a lot more friends in the paranormal world than I have elsewhere, I think.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more open and they say, yeah, mm-hmm, I can see that too, and I'm with you on that. And they go, oh, cool,
It's funny. Josh said everywhere is haunted. I've had the pleasure of meeting John Tenney and listening to him speak, and he says that all the time. Everywhere is haunted.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing he ever says is, he's like, you know what? Y'all need to stop killing spiders in your house. He's like, take them outside, let them live. He said, because if you hate spiders, all you've done is fill your house with ghost spiders.
Oh no.
And I'm like, that's what I said before.
You're supposed to, like, I hate insects, okay? My husband will take the thing, he'll take, oh, come, you better leave the house, because she's gonna kill you. And I go,
I'm definitely a take the bugs outside type of person.
I'm gonna say, you poor thing, my wife is gonna kill you. And I said,
you know what? I feel bad. Like I'm the person. We just took this road trip, and I'm sitting there, and like bugs are hitting the windshield, and I'm like, they're poor families. Like daddy's never coming home because they're not. It's like it's a bug graveyard. It's so sad. I'm like, let's just investigate the windshield and see if we get any bugs. I have issues. Poor little bugs.
I used to live in Arizona for around a couple of years, and it got so hot, and I felt bad. You'd be driving down the road, and you'd hit a bird because I think they get exhausted and they from the heat too, so they just start going down. So I don't know if they already died from heat exhaustion, but they definitely died when they hit my windshield or my little grill in the front. That happened a lot. The first time it happened, I started crying. But then it starts happening to people more and more. It's still sad, but it's one of those things you got used to. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
they had the tarantulas. Was it October? We were driving, and there were just I think that was New Mexico, and the tarantulas were just very slowly crossing the street. And like I helped one out. We got out of the car, and I'm like kind of pushing them. I'm like, you're gonna get run over. But there's so many. There's so many of them. I need to post that video because it's really kind of funny. I'm just like, come on, let's go, get out of the road.
In Arizona, it was scorpions. They say, especially at night, don't go out with a blue light because that's all you'd see is scorpions.
I have never actually seen one. I was just there. I've never seen one. I've never even seen a rattlesnake, which is weird because I've been out in Death Valley. I've been to Rhyolite. Like I've been to all these places out there in the desert, and I have yet to see a scorpion. I have not seen one. I'm like, maybe I should just take the blue light next time so I can see one. I think it'd be just cool. Like I just like these weird, creepy things. I'm like this tiny little bug can kill you. Like how cool is that? I don't know. I
They
find
got
it fascinating.
they got a centipede. They don't have it where Amanda is, but they have it more this side of Japan, and they live in the peach tree. That's why I have no intentions of buying peach tree, okay? Because they like the sweet nectar from the tree, and they live in the peach tree, and you can't figure out which end is front and which end's the back end of it. And if you get bitten by it, you swell up like it's mukade here, and they come in like either they're red or they're black and red, or they're plain old black. And yeah, they can do some damage to you if you have an allergy against the venom. And
I've
they're crazy here on this side.
I've seen them here. Even if you don't have an allergy, their bite still hurts.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get bit by anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get bit or poisoned or not. I mean, none of that. But I just appreciate what they are.
There
I
is
think
like
that's
100
sweet.
different beetles here too.
Beetles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to like just discover a whole new species of something, you know?
Oh, when you come here, there are beetles that live in the trees, and kids catch them and they bring them home and they're pets.
Oh, that's cool.
My
I
son,
like catching fireflies here. What I could never understand is why when you catch a firefly and you put it in the jar, why did it never light up after it was in the jar? You could
Yeah.
never like bring the fireflies in your room and like turn the lights out and have them glow.
yeah,
Probably because we're not supposed to put them in a jar, but
yeah, sure.
anyway.
It's even mosquitoes here can be dangerous because you can get a fever from a mosquito bite. So I think Amanda knows that too. That's why you get vaccinated before you come
We
here.
had to get vaccination for a different mosquito sickness here that Japan has. It doesn't have in America.
Yeah, it's like West Nile virus
Oh,
almost.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you're going to the semi-tropics, right? And it's in the summertime it's really hot. And yeah, things come out. You get spooky things come out at nighttime. You get spooky things come out. They don't care, right, Amanda?
I have seen the most shadow figures here in Japan than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Really? That's
Yes.
interesting too.
And someone else said the same thing when I said that. They thought about it. Like, when I visited Japan, I think I agree with you. I've seen a lot of shadow figures, and I'm not used to seeing. I've seen them before, but not like Japan.
I think on your side, you have a lot of tragic, right?
Yeah, so near me. So Irene in Tokyo, she'll tell you she has mostly like suicide victims. I'm in Nagasaki, so I have 2 hours away from me the Nagasaki bomb area, and then up north of me a little bit farther is Hiroshima.
Hmm.
So we get a lot of the tragic ones. But they
Yeah.
also think because of the two bombings, this is why we have more cryptids than
Mhm.
she would. We don't have Bigfoot hunters or anyone here trying to really go out there and find and study them. So scientists have said, yeah, we've heard of them, but our best guess is we think either the radiation from the bombs either mixed with a human or mixed with an animal or
Mhm.
something and created what people see as these cryptids.
Well, I mean, that's very possible. You know, even when you think of like, what do you call it, Chernobyl,
Mhm.
there's people that never actually left the area and they still kind of live in the surrounding areas of Chernobyl, and they're still getting that the radioactive whatever, and the deformities and things that happen not just with the people but with the animals and things like that. The
Mhm.
things that we do to the planet, is it affects everything. And on top of that, we're always what do you call it, I don't want to say mutating. I forget what
Yeah.
the word is, but we're always adapting and changing
Yeah.
to that. I mean, it's just the way it is, the way life is, and whatever. And then we just throw, like radioactive stuff in there, and so you never really know. I mean, you talk about Bigfoot, and people talk about Bigfoot being alien or from out of this world or whatever, which I suppose could be true. I mean, again, not a big Bigfoot person, but it doesn't make me right. What do I know? I haven't researched it, so I don't really have a place to speak on something that I don't research. But
It,
Earth soup is scary. Yeah,
we
right. I don't even want to know what's out there, to be honest.
we got a lot of crazy things here too. It's just things that go bump in the night. Other than spirits like cryptids and tiki tiki is another one that we have here. That's she was thrown in the train tracks. I think her lover did that, and she died. And she comes after people in their homes. If you're near train tracks, she'll drag you and she'll unalive you. And it's just there's a lot of cryptids, a lot of urban legends, and a lot of crazy stuff here that it's old. You won't learn it from anybody, but you learn it from an old person here. Like anything haunted place that's really old, you learn it from a person who's 85 years old or 90 years old. They'll tell you legends. You won't learn it from any books or anything like that. There are some books, there are some places that you'll find online, but it's very rare. If you want to know more in detail, you have to ask an older person in Japan.
Yeah.
It's sad because nobody wants to research it. Nobody wants to talk about it. And I think I think we're losing our. I think everyone's become too much more realistic. They're learning about what those old things are, and passing it down to the younger generations because I think they're more analytical now because they're all more educated and more analytical, and I think their minds are not open anymore, and so they're just set this way. And I think that's why you find that in the paranormal world too. They're more analytical. If it doesn't jump out and bite you in the face, they're not going to believe it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why anything haunted or anything like that, you'll have to learn it from an older generation because the older generation knows more about that. And they learned it when they were children too. And they want to pass it down to their children if they're willing to listen. But I think the younger generation is like, no, that's fake. And you can't say it's fake because it just pop out at you, right?
Yeah.
Just because you can't see it, you can't feel it, doesn't mean that that's fake either. Or it's real or it's not. I mean, who am I to judge, right? I
Yeah.
can't explain. I can't tell you what I see. I can't tell you what I hear. I can't explain it. And I think it's frustrating for me because if it doesn't come at you, and if you don't believe me, like I can't explain it any more than that, right? And yeah, well, take it or leave it. I think.
The TikTok generation was eating pods of Tide Pods, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I also think, when we're younger, we don't contemplate things like we do as we get older. That takes some maturity. And so that's why I think people grow into like a lot of the paranormal stuff. Because as a kid, as someone even in their 20s, you're just trying to get out in the world and figure out who you are. The last thing on your mind is paranormal stuff, or contemplating life in general. Like we just don't do that at that age. We're just not mature enough. And, we're not in that phase of our life, and we're doing other things and learning other things and experiencing other things. It's not until you start. I always say we're rotting from the day we're born, like a banana, like I'm definitely past my ripeness. but you have to get to that point before you start contemplating your downhill. Or I think death, for me, experiencing my husband dying at the age of 23 years old, that puts a lot of things in the mind of a 23-year-old, that wouldn't normally be in the mind of a 23-year-old, and now I'm a mother of 4. And so I had a lot of it. I tell people this: if it wasn't for my kids, I probably would have just let myself starve to death on the couch. After he passed away, I was that far gone mentally after the abuse and everything else, and so, you just at 23 years old, what are most 23-year-olds thinking? I mean, they're like, I got to go to work and pay my rent for the first time, and I want to party at the same time. That's a 23-year-old brain, not
Yes.
what about death,
Yeah.
No. And there's my cat, who is clearly needs to stop what she's doing. She's a kitten, and we just finally are getting the appointments to get her fixed. So she's doing things over here that are just not appropriate. Poor thing. She went to the vet. I took her this morning because she needed an initial appointment. Yeah, stop.
I think to you, right?
And she's literally now on the floor. She just needs to stop. Poor thing. I know they suffer like this, and we're almost there. She'll get it done soon enough. Anyway.
Yeah.
Where has been your favorite place to investigate?
Geez, that's like the toughest question ever, because I have so many favorites. I definitely love Edinburgh Manor. That's always been one of my tops. Squirrel Cage Jail has been one of my favorites. Waverly Hills was amazing. I hope to go back there at some point. You never know. Things just randomly happen. I've had the pleasure of going to Tombstone and investigating the OK Corral and Boot Hill Cemetery after dark, which they don't allow very often. They basically, the mines, oh my gosh, they took us down and they abandoned silver mines. Copper, were they silver? I think silver mines. And that was fantastic. We didn't really get any activity down there much, but what an amazing thing to explore. There's just so many places. I honestly don't, I can't sit here and pick a favorite. I love them all. I'm attached to all of them. So yeah, Josh, Tombstone's fantastic. I'm going to be able to go back again here soon. It's funny, I went there once, and it was actually during the COVID lockdowns that I went down there. And now opportunities just keep bringing me back. And every time it's better than the last. So the Birdcage Theater is amazing. I'm obsessed with the desert, and I am obsessed with the West. And oh my gosh, Kat, stop. For the record, that was her moving my stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I can't really pick a favorite. I love them all so much. I just can't.
Is there a place that's on your bucket list that you haven't been to, but you hope to one day?
I definitely want to go to Pennhurst. I have not been there yet. I want to go to Alcatraz. That's another place I haven't been to yet. If I had to say, those are probably two of my top places. If I could travel, I definitely want to go to Ireland, to some of the castles, and that'll be a while though, I think. Stop. If I lose you, it wasn't me. And you thought your cat was bad. I don't even know what is going on with this.
Well, got a podcast too, If it wasn't me, it's the spirits. Okay, I got the same problem.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, it's just Amanda knows. It's just what we do here, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I need to move her. She is. There we go. Jeez. Only my cat. What's my daughter's cat? So I'm not even going to take it for that one.
I've been to Deadwood, South Dakota, and I'd love to go back there. It's like in Old Wild West Vegas, but it's so safe there. And there's a lot of history there. That's also why I love it. That's also where Wild Bill was buried and Calamity Jane, because Wild Bill was buried there, she was buried there as well.
And they have a great winery about a half an hour away. It's the Prairie Berry Winery. It's one of my favorite. But they have the Calamity Jane wine, and they have a Wild Bill, and they have the red ass rhubarb, which is phenomenal.
You can see they still have on display the chair Wild Bill died in. You can still visit the same saloon too. Which I loved doing. I mean, I'm into history like that. It's just in Wild West, so I was so into doing that. I can't say for a lot of people would want to go with me because it's like, oh, Wild West. Like, it was so much fun to me though. They also on certain days have like an old, they call it Chinatown, but it's below because that's where they were living. Like, is a tunnel. So sometimes you do a tour there. Unfortunately, I was not there when they had the tours going, but I would have loved to see the underground little town.
Oh yeah.
But also the one of the hotels there is supposed to be haunted by one of the first sheriffs. He still kind of protects the place too. But he was made sheriff because back in the day, everyone there was like 5'4", 5'3", or 5'4", and he broke up fights not because he was like 5'9" or however tall he is. He was taller than everyone else. That's how he broke up fights. Is they say, yeah, he'd come up to people about to fight, tap on their shoulder. They turn around and look up at him, and that's when they just like, okay, and that's when they backed down.
Yeah,
he didn't do much.
And the Undertaker probably had were measuring you to build your box, right?
Yeah, I love Deadwood. I think I do like going there, and I've gone there a few times. And I didn't get to do the underground tours, but I did go to the Wild Bill Bar and things like that. So if you ever get a chance, Bodie, California is probably one of the coolest places. If you've never heard of it, it used to be this town of like 10,000 people, and the mines eventually just shut down. And I'm not really sure why the mines shut down, but basically everybody just had to leave. So being in the desert, it was really well preserved, and it's now part of the state park. And so I think it's like $6 to get in, but this place is so cool. Like, you look in the bar and there's still beer glasses on the counter, and there's still school books on they just locked all the doors, so you can basically look into all the windows and see everything, and it's just phenomenal. And I have a whole bunch of pictures that I posted just from there, of clothes still on the beds, and it's so wonderfully preserved. And I don't know, I'm sure there's some crazy stories about that place. Maybe one day they'll let me investigate it at night, but not
That's
quite
always
there
the
yet.
dream of some of these places.
It is creepy. It's super cool though. Totally worth it. I was too lazy to walk to the cemetery. But it also was super hot, and I was coming off of a very long trip and just happened to go by. I still spent like 2 hours there walking around, and didn't get to everything because it's so large, but pretty cool.
You okay, Rain?
No, I was just it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, you cleared your throat. I wasn't sure if you were gonna say something. What advice would you give to anyone starting out in a paranormal?
I definitely think if you've never done it before, I think a group event that's kind of mild is kind of a good starting spot. just so that you can get a feel for it and things like that, and just see if it's something you like doing. But my biggest thing for people is to stop being afraid of it and start trying to connect with it. Um, it's not what you see on TV by any means whatsoever. And go in with an open mind, a spiritual mind, an open heart. You will always get better results with empathy, and understanding. And it's, the funny thing is, it's not just that way for the paranormal. That's life, just in general, with people, with the living. Um, to always have empathy and care about what you're doing, and care about the souls and the hearts and the minds of anything and anyone you're interacting. And I mean, that even carries over into, animals, respect.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
all. It's the most important thing.
I agree. Has anything ever really come out and scared you, like saying, "I'm not going to go back there anymore"? Um, no.
No, it's funny because I actually never talk about this, because I wasn't really on an investigation. But this is probably the scariest thing that ever happened because it almost killed me. We were at, what is the name of it? It's this huge, giant, like old factory, and it's in Beatrice, Nebraska, and people don't go in there. They don't allow people in there. They don't allow investigators in there. However, me being who I am, the people who were running it was like, sure, we'll let you in there. I just, for some reason, I just always get that luck. I'm that weirdo. And so we go in there, and it's several buildings, and so we're in this one particular warehouse, and they had these fire doors that, they're on a pulley system, and they're like iron doors. They're heavy, and so if a fire starts there, they close the doors to contain the fire wherever it is. And mind you, this place it's pretty much abandoned. I mean, they were still running some things out of one of the buildings somewhere, and so we went down into the basement through one of these fire doors, and I'm just kind of dee 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 dee. And my friend and the girlfriend he was with at the time, she freaked and out she went, and he went after her. And I just kept DDDing down there. And so finally I kind of turn around and make my way back up. And as I'm coming up the stairs, I hear the fire door closing.
Oh.
And I was probably on the third step before leaving, and I had to just flatten myself to keep the fire door from hitting me. Because if it had come down on my head, it would have killed me. They were that heavy, and so I come out, and I'm doing my nervous laugh, like, "Oh my god, that's so funny! Look at where I'm at!" Like, I'm laughing very nervously. And we get out, and we look at the rope, and it was a straight cut, like something had cut the rope. And so my friends, because they had to run across, I could hear them running back to lift the fire door because I couldn't even lift it. It took 3 people to lift it. And so I come on out, and I'm like, I'm going back down there. And of course they fought me on it. And I was like, look, I'm going whether you want to come with me or not, which I did. And we didn't get anything else, but, and I'm just thinking, maybe it's an old building, blah, 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 whatever. Well, when the people came back to let us out and lock the place back up, we told the guy what happened. And he said, I want you to know that yesterday the fire department came out and did an inspection, and anything that was unsafe was sealed shut. So that door had been inspected literally the day before. But I'd still go back in there. I'm like, but probably the scariest thing that I think, because I mean, it really could have killed me. But I haven't had anything other than that really be that terrifying. So, and I still laughed at it. So there we are.
Something that you can't explain. Things happen, right? And it'd be interesting to find out what really happened, or was there an entity there that didn't want anybody to come near me or in my property? I'm gonna say that word because it's theirs. It's their place. It's their home. Um, you can't really. It's something that you can't really say what it was.
No.
But it'd be interesting to really find out what was it that did that. You know.
Yeah, and it's so strange because it's not like walking up the stair. I mean, we're talking about solid concrete. There's no vibration. There really is absolutely no explanation whatsoever for what happened that day. But I'm still here. Thank God I didn't want to haunt that place.
Yeah. And there are some places that you want to say, well, that this an explanation, but you can't really say what it was. You can't really explain it. You can't. I think people have a way of debunking everything and say, "Oh, that was this. Oh, that was that. Well, that was the wind." But you can't really. You can't. You just can't. Sometimes you just can't. You have to. Okay, that really happened. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it could have been that.
And thank you, Josh. That's very sweet. Yeah, who knows? Who knows I don't have an answer for it, but I didn't die, so that's what matters.
No. And
But my motto anyway is, thank God I'm a paranormal investigator, because if I die, I can still be friends with my friends. We can
Yeah.
still hang out.
Yeah. You'd have more friends.
Probably. Maybe.
Visit your friends, especially when they're investigating.
I just don't want to be funny when I die. That's all I care about.
Oh,
I just be going and tickling people in their sleep. I'm the tickle monster.
and you're taking this? Sure, why not?
It's funny.
There's been times where people would ask for a sign and a door slams shut, and all of a sudden they're running out of the building and they're done. Like, they didn't your ass? That just seems rude. Because now they're like, well, that's rude.
That's when you
me
say thank you.
Yeah, exactly. You ask for a sign and they give you one and you're running away. You're like, what the heck are you doing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, come back here. You asked for a sign. There you go. There's your sign. And now you're running. Like, gee whiz, don't say anything if you don't want them to know you're there, right?
Right? Exactly. Totally agree.
Yeah. God darn. Like, that's one thing I would never ask. Are you there? Give us a sign. I wouldn't say that either. I wouldn't say that. Because you might get something that you don't want to get, right? Oh dear.
Like, speaking of doors slamming, yeah.
I know, right? That's our bathroom door. Well,
Really?
they're renting this house, and so they had issues with the door, and I fixed it for the most part, but I think they just need a new one. No matter how hard you try to open it, it just doesn't. It is what it is. It's not. They have a good landlord, though. We hate bothering him. We'll just fix it myself. It's easier.
Yeah.
What is your favorite piece of equipment to use on an investigation?
My favorite by far is always going to be the EVP recorder. I usually use my phone, but the reason I love it so much is because, to me, it validates itself, and it's simply because when you're recording, especially when you're by yourself and there's nobody there, it's even better. But when you take as a sound engineer, I know you take the EVP itself and you can put it in a program and you can physically see the sound wave. So not only can you hear it, but you can see it. And I think there's a lot to be said about sound and frequencies and how it works. I was just recently in a documentary called the Staticom Project. And that basically what they did was they took white noise, just generating plain white noise in real time, got rid of the radio frequencies, no spirit box. It's just white noise. You put it in your program and you clean it up, and what you're left with is voices. It's phenomenal. And they had me on there actually as a sound expert. And this is why I love them so much, because when I met Ron, his name is Ron Yacovetti. Him and his I don't know, I don't think they're married, but him and his girlfriend Lourdes, they're both wonderful people. And the other two people on there, it's kind of, I'm drawing a blank, Tony and Cherie Rathman, and I just met them in Tombstone like a week and a half ago, and they all work on this together, and so to be a part of it's phenomenal. But they basically clean up this white noise, and you get these voices, and it's the whole spirit box thing I didn't understand. Sound wise, in order for anything to break the sound barriers, what we get, it's a jet engine. It takes a sonic boom, and when you're breaking through. And I'm like, if we're going to sit here and say that spirits are operating on a lower level, then you tell me how they're coming through radio frequencies without making a sonic boom, and they don't even have the energy to do that. And so they said, well, it's because they're in the white noise. They're not breaking through anything. And I'm like, oh, that actually makes sense. And so they put this whole Staticom project thing together that they've been working with, and now I'm working with it. I'm nowhere near as accomplished with it as they are. But some of their responses, if you look it up, I'm telling you, it will blow your mind. Every time I'm obsessed with it. I am genuinely obsessed with what they're doing with it, because it is different, and it is, I think it's a move forward. And so that's where I'm at and you can do so much more with sound waves. I mean, going to film school, they teach you that visually it goes to the brain, but sound goes to the heart. And that is so true. So that's where I'm at. I'll experiment with sound in any day of the week.
That is one technique, Josh, that I actually love doing an investigation, is playing music from their time period.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes you get good results just from that. Just hopefully you're bringing back good memories with certain music.
I actually bought a Tesla coil that's Bluetooth, and so now I have like pre-recorded questions. So now, and I've only done it a couple times so far. I haven't had any results, but I'm not giving up yet. But I basically play the questions through the Tesla coil so that my questions turn into pure energy. I've also been doing that with music to see if we get anything. I just really haven't had a good opportunity to just work with it without having a group of people there. So hopefully that'll amount to something. But the blue light that it generates also has something to do with how energy can be manipulated. But again, I have mad scientist brain sometimes, so that's where that is.
Go on the USS North Carolina. It's an old ship that was in, I think, World War II, maybe World War I. And I was with a group hosting this paranormal event, and the investigators were in the mess hall, and I could hear music, Tennessee Waltz, playing on radio, and it was so clear. I could hear it in my ears. And I told the investigator, I heard this music playing, and that's weird because I heard it too. And it was going on. And yeah, it did freak me out, but I said, I heard this playing, and they said, well, it was in that time era of that music, and it was phenomenal because it was so clear. I could hear it in my ears. I have a habit of hearing things on my right ear, hearing everything paranormal. And, I was listening to it, I go, ooh, okay, that's a Tennessee Waltz. Okay, I'm familiar with the old kind of music because my parents used to hear that kind of music too. And so I'm really familiar with old music. And I said, yeah, that's kind of weird. And I told the investigator, he said, hey, that's really weird because we picked it up on an EVV voice recorder. And they said, yeah, we heard that too. And I said, yeah, I mean, music played back then will come out now with the spirits. And it's just, sometimes you can pick up all kinds of interesting things, right?
Yeah, just recently we were at the Copper Queen Hotel, which is Bisbee, Arizona, and I had the spirit box running, and there was 1930s music playing through the entire suite.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that happening? I even sent it to a friend of mine and I was like, do you have an explanation for this? Like, I'm not really sure. This has never happened before. And so he suggested we'll change the batteries. And I was like, well, I actually already did and it's still doing it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and I even put it on AM and it was still doing it, the
Mhm.
same song. And so I'm not really sure how that's possible. There may be an explanation for it. If anybody's going to find it out, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
It's a sound nerd problem, but strange. It's very, very odd. I'm like, I've never had this. And it did it for minutes,
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I have a recording of it all. So I'm just like, this is crazy.
It's funny, because when spirits play that kind of music on their radio or whatever that they're using, kind of device that they're using, it will come out, and you will be able to hear it as clear as daytime, right?
Mhm.
It's phenomenal, and I think that's what keeps me in this world of paranormal, because there's so much that you can learn. There's so much. It's so different now, and the devices that we can use are so more sensitive, and you could hear a lot more now, and it's just really interesting. I think it keeps me going, and I don't want to quit, right?
It's hard, it's addicting, but I just look at it as basically an untapped science. And we have yet to,
I think
I have seen some things and read some things where scientists have, gone to prove or disprove paranormal and the existence of spirits and whatever, but they haven't really
no,
done a lot.
no,
Just kind of like, oh, we got better things to do.
I think
Let's
it's
smash atoms. Why not?
it's an untouched subject with scientists. I think, you know, I think that it's scary for them to really find out what's going on in the paranormal world, and I think it's the most untouched subject in the whole of all the science. That's one of the things that's not been touched lately, and I think there needs to be more that's coming out. I think we need to learn more. I think we need to keep more of an open mind, and you know I think it's the most unlearned subject even still.
I agree. Absolutely.
Well, everyone is always going to have their different theories
Oh yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
everything in the paranormal. And
I
that's
mean,
why we always say, that goes with the para unity is be nice to everyone regardless if they believe in the same thing you do.
yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people say, I can't, be
I love
kind.
that.
That's
A lot of
Dr.
people
Perry's motto.
a lot of people say, I can't investigate with other teams who don't believe in the same thing I do. And it's just like, that's so terrible way to look at it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're always going to, regardless of what you think you believe in, you can always find research from people that will back you up, regardless of what you believe in. You can try and someone is same thing with their theory is someone is always gonna be able to find something that other people back up what they're saying. It's just it is what it is. We don't fully know. We
Yeah.
probably won't even when you're a ghost, we may not fully know.
No. And there's a lot of things out there that we won't have any answers for it. I try to find the answers through the spirit. I usually ask questions through a spirit more than I'll find out from a book, or more than I'll find out from research, because sometimes it matches and sometimes it doesn't. It's something that history books has a habit of writing things that maybe have to, or maybe hidden, the hidden secrets that they don't want anyone else to know about, right? But it really happened there. What really nasty, even this nasty, or even it's part of history, right? It's what happened there. That's why it's history. And I think we need to know, n- not saying the truth about it, but I think we need to know all what happened. And I think that's what being educated is about, educating yourself, learning about it, even if it's bad, even if it may not be cool. I think we need to know. And it's all part of learning. I think paran, par, paranormal is part of learning, and we may never find the answers of it in our time, but I think we still have to find out. I think I'm nosy that way.
I always use this bargaining chip when I'm doing investigations. Sometimes it works, but I'll always be like, "Hey, you know what? When you were on my side of things, you were having all these questions too, and like now you're in a position to answer, and there's someone here listening. So
Mhm.
help me out."
Yeah,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah.
But
But when it does work, it's phenomenal what you learn, right?
yeah,
And you have, the more questions that they answer, more you want to ask, right? And it becomes a full-blown conversation with the dead. I think that's what's keep me going in this
mhm.
place, in this world. And I think, you know it creates this happy spot with me, and I love it. I think I love it more than talking to anybody who's alive. I think I like talking to the dead more.
I definitely do. I'll just put it
Yeah.
that way.
Eh, eh, yeah. I get a lot of children's spirits. I get a lot of murder victims. It's really hard sometimes, but it's a part of life. Um, Sometimes it's really hard to do it. Sometimes it's really hard to keep your head straight and say you got a job. You have to understand what it is, and there are a lot of things that I see, and I know that I can't tell anybody, and I'll have to keep it to the day I die. There's a lot of things that I cannot tell anybody. It's a part of what I do, my job, and it's hard sometimes. It's really hard sometimes,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to children. Like, but yeah, I mean, this is what I do, and I think I want to know more. I think I want to help them more. I think if they died at somebody else's hand, I think I want to help the cold cases, and I want to find who did it, and I want to bring justice for them so they can have closure too. It's a hard thing when you're on paranormal too. So you
Mhm.
you get the both good part and you get the both bad part. But when they work, you say, hey, that was great. We did a good job here, and I'm glad I did it. And I'm still glad I'm here with it. I'm still glad I'm doing what I do, and you know, I will help certain amount of dead people, and certain times I can't. But you know, I do my best.
That's all you can do, right? Every day, just do the best you could do.
Yeah,
That's all. As long as you're doing that, that's all that matters, honestly.
yeah,
She also really can't tell police anyways because it's because it's nothing you have evidence to prove. It's just something like, yeah, I heard from the spirit. It's nothing, like I said, because she can't prove that. It's nothing they
Yeah,
can really go off of. But at the same time, it's like the show Ghost Whisperer, where the spirits would come to her and she'd go find the body or whatever, and she would let police know, oh, I just kind of found this. And the police would just be like, how come you're always where the crime happened, or how come you always are the one who finds the body? And she really can't explain.
Yeah. My friend's property is the same way. He's got a whole bunch of dead bodies on his land, but he said, I'm not going to dig it up and I'm not going to find the police officer who's going to believe me. He said, how do you know? I said, well, I got a friend in Japan. Yeah. She told me where the dead body is. They go, huh? Sorry. He said, sorry, I'm not going to do that. And I think it's really hard finding uh, uh, a police officer who will listen to you and saying, yeah, there's a dead body there, there's a dead body there, there's a dead body there. I think it's not open enough finding investigators who will believe. There are some who works with mediums, but I think there's a lot of times it's just like, yeah, you're crazy, right? And I said, no, I'm not crazy. I just know. And you can't say, how do I know? But I just know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just seen it being buried right there. And my friend said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I said, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to plant flowers, wildflowers there for them. And then that's all I'm going to do. Right? Because he said, if I try to find a police officer, they're going to say, you're nuts, right? And he's also a paranormal investigator. And I said, yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say that because it's an old property from the Victorian era, and yeah, this guy did a lot of bad things, and his property is just full of those.
Yeah.
It's a yeah, it's like a cemetery in his yard.
Wow.
Yeah, and he can't tell anybody, and we're really good friends. And he said, I said, are you gonna tell the police what happened there? He goes, hell no. And his place was haunted, and I helped cleanse his place, and I helped the spirits move on and go to heaven. It's just something that happened right on my land. He said, I can't explain it. Yeah. And yeah, it's just something that happened, right? They go, yeah. Let's leave it at that. And his son owns the property now. And they
Wow.
moved. And yeah, it's at peace now. It was pretty bad, but yeah. He said, I can't tell. I'm not going to tell the authorities. Are you going to tell them? I go, nope. Can you answer the question? If they call you, I go, nope. Well, let's leave it at that. I go, okay. But
Is there
there's
a piece of equipment that maybe you don't prefer to work with?
I hate apps. I don't like any of the apps. I don't think any of them work. I
The
really
Spirit
don't.
Box apps are hilarious to me, though.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, right? Is the apps, like a lot of people will believe it. I'm like, if you use them enough and if you listen long enough, because doing events sometimes people just bring them. They're on repeat. They have word banks that are on repeat, and they have several different banks. So every time you restart the app, you just go to a different bank. But I'm like, it's lazy. I would absolutely agree to that. I don't use them. Personally, I think they're made more for entertainment than anything.
They are. They also said they listen in for a certain word, so that's when they start repeating.
Yeah, and I definitely think that people need to start making a distinction between what is actually entertainment and what isn't. I know people get mad at the TV shows and stuff, but I'm like, you know what? It's entertainment. It's made to be entertainment.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You just have to call it what it is. You don't. It's like, watching a murder show. It doesn't mean go out and murder people.
No.
Like you have to make that distinction. Period.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
For
it,
me, one thing never found the value of is those lights that put a grid on the wall. Just because me and other teams have used them and other people would even say the same thing is they've never had anything happen with the grid. It's never broken. You never see the spirit walking through. So
I had one move, but I've never had anything walk through it. But I definitely had one move, and that was at Glore. It was they had these long tunnels underneath it. It's the old psych hospital, and the grid was on a box like midway down the tunnel, and we were standing at the entrance, and the whole grid just turned left.
wow.
But that's the only thing I've ever had happen with the grids either. So I don't really use them that often. Sometimes I'll set them up for events and things, but
people love
I
them. Yeah.
don't really do that much anymore. I
Mhm.
just have a little go pack that I take with, and that's it. I don't know. I feel like we do better without all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, I think, like I said before, I don't like new lights flashing and stuff like that. It's just go with the basics. Um, see what you can find, and you probably get more that way.
mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with just going back to the basics and investigating. But
Yeah.
it's weird because other places are just used to more equipment coming out, more advanced equipment coming out. It's just like, I don't need all that.
No, you really don't. Uh, like I like certain recording equipment because it validates from what I hear. Because I hear the same thing. I just I like that validation, but I don't use it myself. Like in Japan, you just can't go to a place using all this equipment, bringing it out, and it's like okay, like Amanda said, you just don't have there's no room to bring it out to it. It's a public area, and you just can't do those things, right? You just look at you really crazy. Yeah, you just. Mm, I wouldn't. Would you, Amanda? Nah, I didn't think so.
But like I said, I prefer doing the basics. I don't need a bunch of the fancy equipment that people pay
Yeah,
thousands upon thousands of dollars for.
yeah, and it's really expensive too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Equipment.
that's what I'm saying. Is a lot of it gets overly expensive that
Yeah,
you just realistically you can't really afford anyways, or you're not paying for bills or something else you need to just be able because you think you need to buy this camera that's like 5 grand or more.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't even need all that. It's kind of funny because a lot of the stuff I have. I mean, I have an excess of equipment just because the events, and I allow people to use my stuff. But I also have there's several people that have actually built me stuff and sent it because of what I do. It's I don't always broadcast it on Facebook.
hmm
However, all these people that come to the events,
yeah,
they know where to get it. They know where to buy it. They know, um, the Deadlight's one of them. Well, Josh was doing fine without me anyway, but I certainly run my mouth about his stuff all the time. So
hmm
Deadlight's one of the most phenomenal IR lights out there. It really is. And Josh is a good person, so I also don't mind. I don't mind spreading the word about his stuff because he works hard and he's a genuinely good human being, um, and that's what counts to me more than anything.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I really haven't spent a lot on equipment just because people just mail it to me. That's what happens when you get people sales. They just here you go.
yeah.
I will not complain one bit. I appreciate it every last bit of it.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
definitely we enjoyed having you on the show.
Yeah.
You will definitely have to come back, like Joshua was saying
absolutely.
earlier. We'll definitely have to have you back
Yeah.
sometime.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
Thank
everyone else
you.
out there, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.